What's going on? 6 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Titans hit the practice field yesterday with no real shockers to the injury report. Traylon Burks, Josh Wiley, and Harold Landry were all limited, while Luke Gifford, Elijah Molden, Peter Skronsky, and Tier Tart did not practice. Now, there was a shocker on the Cincinnati practice squad, practice report, as Joe Burrow was a full participant. Tight end Irv Smith and wide receiver and starting punt returner Charlie Jones did not practice. We had a trade in the NBA yesterday, a pretty big one. Portland, Milwaukee, and Phoenix have agreed to a 3-team trade. Basically boils down to the Bucks get Damian Lillard, the Suns get Yusuf Nurkic, and the Blazers get DeAndre Ayton and Drew Holiday. Blazers are going to continue to try to trade the assets they received in this trade to get more assets. And tonight in the NFL, Thursday Night Football, an NFC North matchup between the 2-1 Lions and Packers. You can watch the game on Amazon Prime or listen right here on 104.5 The Zone. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Out of the blocks and off and running on a Thursday morning edition of RKW. We're powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors and streaming live on 104.5 The Zone TV. You can talk straight to us and to the people in Nashville and around the world in the F&M Bank chat, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. And we've got a full crew ready to go, kicking off your Thursday morning. Coach Dave McGinnis in 20 minutes. The Thursday 3 picks against the spread for your football weekend. Q&K's inside the Titans locker room all morning long. Rocky Boiman from WLW in Cincinnati at 8:20. And Adam Amin, who will be on the Fox Sports call of Titans and Bengals this weekend, who joins us at 9:20. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh is our producer. My name is Will Bowling. It is Thursday, September the 28th. And I'm no meteorologist, but I would certainly recommend grabbing a raincoat today. Good morning.
Good morning. Drive safe.
Definitely. Please drive safe. Your boy almost hydroplaned this morning, man. If y'all are listening and on Vietnam veterans, slow it down and avoid the inside lane. I'm in an F-250 and pretty much rolled over to the other lane. So y'all be cool. You want to talk about heart rate. I went from like a 52 this morning to it said 88. I had to look at my doggone watch just to see. I was rattled this morning.
My heart rate can't talk this morning. There we go. Heart rate went up this morning too. I walked out of my door, you guys, and it's still very dark, and somebody was talking.
Yeah.
And my heart rate just goes da-da-da-da-da. And I look up, it's my neighbor and the dog.
Oh my gosh.
But
yeah.
you don't see people that early in the morning ever. Usually where I am. So I about had a heart attack.
I'm lying. I went up to a 127.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, that's...
I'm telling you, in front of me was a dump truck, and it created the wave which made me slow down. But by the time I started slowing down, it was too late. Golly, that was intense this morning. And the biggest raindrops ever, too.
Being downtown, I always feel bad for the construction workers who are walking from a place they have to park far away from their site.
Yeah.
Especially this morning, where you saw a lot of them just like standing under overhangs, like, dang it.
Yeah.
And then a lot of them just walking anyway. But yeah, swam here. It was good. Really good. There's already a ton of just like huge puddles downtown. So it was great.
I had no idea this was in the forecast. Well, yeah, we did. We talked about it yesterday morning.
I had no idea. I never know the weather.
Know this early.
Yeah, it was supposed to be this morning, but it'll be done before the sunrise, I think, though, too. So it's a light show outside. So I did enjoy that, seeing the lightning. That's always been a thing of mine. When you stay in like a hotel and it rains, you see the lightning strikes and stuff. I absolutely love that.
It is kind of cool driving.
Don't get me started on off-topic things like that.
El Nino.
Yeah.
Helped us wake up.
Yeah, it did. I'm a full awake now, man. Goodness. Whew.
Well, another guy who was awake and moving around yesterday at Bengals practice was Joe Burrow. He's a full participant yesterday.
That kind of shocked me, not going to lie. It's the first thing I looked at in the injury report.
Yeah. Again, since he's going to use Joe Burrow however they choose to practice-wise, maybe it was for him to get back out there. A lot of that is usually for rehab. Like, hey, it's better to move than it is to sit still sometimes.
Sure.
So maybe that's what it was about. It'll be interesting to see if he goes every day this week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because if he does, then maybe he's a little bit better than we thought.
Yeah, and that's my whole thing because I know, like, when you play on a game on an injury of any sort, there's always some sort of reaction, right? And it takes a couple days usually. So for him to be back out there, I mean, maybe it's not as bad as we think.
And I saw someone talking about this, Mon, and I wanted to see the validity of this, that after playing on Monday, teams might elect to use Wednesday as their walkthrough. So if he was going to be a full participant, it would most likely be today of all the days.
Yeah, it would be. And most teams, you get 14 padded practices, to your point, throughout the regular season, and some teams probably elect to have them on Thursdays. We'd have ours on Thursday. Wednesday would be that reset install day, and Thursday would be part of the young guy get better day after practices too. Wow. Was that a free drop right there? It was definitely a free drop.
Wendy's.
He mentioning that name.
Why would that be a
no
drop?
No free pub. That's all.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, definitely.
This is a Wendy's restaurant.
This is a Wednesday. God, I'm so off. I'm telling you that.
Well,
That
it's okay,
ride
keep
in
going.
this
That's
morning
what
threw
I
me
said.
off.
Well, I couldn't talk either.
I ain't
so
gonna
I'm
lie
with
to you. That threw. I saw stuff flash in front of me, and I had no control this morning. I got thrown off bad this morning, y'all.
It's all right.
Golly.
Well, you just sit there and I'll read the rest of the injury report from yesterday.
Yeah, add me to it, please.
Luke Gifford, Elijah Molden, Peter Skronsky, Tierra Tart, and Ramon Foster did not practice yesterday. Skronsky still coming back from his appendicitis and gave more details on that we'll get to yesterday in the locker room as well. Tierra Tart with a knee injury. Elijah Molden. Stop me if you've heard this before. Elijah Molden has a hamstring problem.
I talked to him yesterday, too. He seemed fine, and then he wasn't out there.
Well, it is just Wednesday, so maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit. But a recurring issue for the Titans' third safety. Luke Gifford, hamstring as well, non-participant at practice. Traylon Burks, limited with a knee, had a big wrap on his knee.
And did last week as well, had some stuff on his leg.
Harold Landry, Josh Wiley, the other two who are limited. DeAndre Hopkins, not even on the injury report. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
Talk about surprises.
Good to see him out there yesterday.
It's 2 weeks in a row that Harold's also had the hamstring, too. He's dealing with it, I'm guessing.
Look, we haven't heard a lot from him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Have not. So that's going to be fascinating to watch. Traylon being a bigger wide receiver is always going to be a thing. You know, not correlating this to AJ or nothing like that, but bigger wide receiver usually do have these types of issues. A guy that may be similar to his size, at least weight-wise, was like Juju. Juju had him, too. I think Juju's like 6'2", 6'3"-ish or whatever, and bigger wide receiver when it boils down. I think he's slimmed down a lot now, but, yeah, those wide receivers always have an issue or so.
615-737-1045 is our number. We've got Coach Mack coming up in 10 minutes. Always a good way to start your day. A little bit of Coach Mack in your life. I was up later last night because Ronald Acuna became the first member of the 40-70 club.
Look at that.
Another comeback win over the Cubs. Being a Chicago sports fan, I said it yesterday, is a wild existence right now. They will not have playoff baseball to distract themselves from how bad Justin Fields is.
No,
That's
they
going to
won't.
be a long season.
And I saw that catch, too. Well, the miss catch, pop-up.
Yeah, Saya Suzuki just missed the pop-up yesterday, or 2 days ago.
Oh, that's disheartening right there, man.
And then you forget about the White Sox because they're like non-existent.
They were supposed to be
Are
good, and they were terrible
Yeah.
this year.
And is Milwaukee and Chicago in the same division in basketball?
NL Central.
Oh,
They
my
just got
gosh.
Dame Lillard.
Oh, basketball. I don't know about basketball.
Well, either way, I think they're.
You know that I'm not the person to ask about NBA facts.
I figured that one.
I was a little surprised with that, too, with Dame going to Milwaukee, but he can win there. So
He can win there.
And Giannis loves him. If
Yep.
you'll remember, he was Giannis's first pick in the All-Star game.
He was.
He was Will was like, I have no recollection of that.
Zero recollection of this.
Ramon on Kalen Burke now.
To me, the NBA regular season starts with a final start. That is the 5 games that I watch, and then that's about it.
Jimmy Butler was hurt last night. He was saying, you guys should look into the Milwaukee Bucks for tampering. He's like, I don't have any information, but you should look into the Bucks for tampering.
Sounds like a guy that has some information. Just putting 2 and 2 together.
And you know what sucks about it, though, too? The Bucks have been caught for tampering, so him being a troll about this leads into Jimmy Butler's just online. And he had these Borats in his hair, man.
What are these braids, man?
I'm like, Jimmy.
Now it's 2 years in a row he is going to start the season with an obnoxious haircut. Like, remember last year, his awkward, weird dread
the
phase?
Fake dreads. You know how much he paid for those? People can jumpstart dreads. And Jimmy Butler, considering the length of his, like, people cut theirs off and sell them.
Yeah.
You can sell them, and like you can jumpstart your dreads, your locks. The ones that he had, as long as they were, apparently were about $5,000.
Good Lord.
I don't see any scenario of that. It's terrible.
But he's also worth over $100 million too. So that's
How
light
long
work
does
for Jimmy.
does that last?
It's just like extensions in your hair. Like it can last as long as you want it to, in the sense of like if you don't want to go. I had that. You don't want to have like the. I never grew my hair out because I hate the in between phase from like growth to like braids, and people do it often actually. And you can just buy somebody's locks that they've cut off. It actually it's almost just like extensions.
That sounds like a horror movie. Like, you remember that Jessica Alba movie where she had to get someone else's eyes put in? Like, what if you get dreads? You get dreads put in, and then the other person starts taking over your hair. Start doing things you would never do. Maybe you walk by an old grandma, smack her on the butt with your dreads. You can't help it. The dreads took over.
Was that like a sequel of Freaky Friday?
Something that I would watch that. I would watch that.
Jessica Alba and Lindsay Lohan.
Oh gosh,
love it. Coming up, Coach Mack joins us as we talk Titans and Bengals. What's different the most about this Cincinnati passing attack that is sputtered out of the gate, to say the least? Titans Radio's head coach joins us to discuss that and much more. Coming up next.
Have you heard about lab-grown diamonds? Here's a word of advice. Don't buy a lab-grown diamond until you talk to my friends at Genesis Diamonds. Genesis will reveal the secrets behind this new product and make sure that you are protected if you decide to buy one. Genesis non-commissioned experts will teach you the difference between a natural diamond and a lab-grown diamond, so you can make the smartest, most informed decision. One important fact you will learn is some jewelers are grossly overcharging for lab-grown stones. There are some insane markups going on, and you need to be aware of them. For example, at some stores, they are selling 4-carat round lab-grown diamond stud earrings for around $9,000. But at Genesis, you can get them for half that price with better quality diamonds. And yes, I said half that price. Bottom line is you need to get informed, and you need to get a second opinion, and you need to be careful and informed customer at all times. And that's what Genesis promised. They are transparent and will teach you what you need to know to make a smart buy, just like they've always done. Genesis Diamonds, your trusted advisor when it comes to the complex world of diamonds. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs, and the official jeweler of the Tennessee Titans.
Thursday morning, first of 4 hours of your edition of RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. We've got a full crew in studio. We've got Titans Radio's head coach, Coach Dave McGinnis, presented by Two Rivers Ford, Middle Tennessee's most trusted local Ford dealership for 40 years. What's up, Coach Mack? How are you?
Well, Kayla, Ramon, I'm good. Got in here, little rain, who cares?
Yeah.
It's dry in here, this roof works, so we're good.
Definitely
The
got
roof
a
is
roof
on.
in here. Definitely have a roof.
Roof's
Coach
on.
Matt.
That's right. Usually it's gone at 9:20 when Slay comes in here, but the roof is currently over our heads, which is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've interacted with Ron Slade already quite a bit this week.
Okay.
And it's interesting.
I heard a caller last week, Mr. Enthusiastic, on your show last week, man.
Yeah, Ron keeps asking me about him, but Rhett and I fill up minutes on a cricket phone for him because he lives in the hills. And so I think his minutes ran out on the cricket, so Rhett and I are getting ready to. He doesn't have this Venmo. I mean, he's in money mo. So we'll get him. You won't hear him every week, I don't think, but he is a pretty interesting caller when he calls in.
I hear him, and it sounds like somebody related to Ron Slade, but we can't say that because his name is Mr. Enthusiastic. So
No,
it's,
I mean
it's crazy.
It's we have a lot of interesting callers on Mac Talk.
Outstanding.
I love that.
I love
Coach
it,
Mack
too.
with us this morning. This weekend, Coach Mack, what is the biggest difference for Cincinnati in what their passing game typically looks like and what it has been this year? Because obviously it is not the high-octane, through-the-air passing attack that they've had under Joe Burrow and Zach Taylor for the past couple of years.
Well, they haven't thrown the ball vertical. Of course, Joe Burrow hadn't been healthy, first of all. But they haven't thrown the ball as much vertical as they have been. I know all you guys watched that game that they played the other night. And the issue, what they're doing now, and, of course, Burrow played in that game because they absolutely had to have the game. I mean, they couldn't afford to go 0-3. And so he gave them the best chance out there. But when you watched it, they're real close, tight cylinder throws, and he's throwing in 2.6, 2.7, under 3 all the time, some 2.3. So there's a lot of real quick throws that they're working right now. So your numbers aren't going to be there if your explosives aren't there. The receivers are still healthy. They've still got all the receivers healthy, and they got Mixon healthy in the backfield. And so, but it's the quarterback. And you could see him when he came off. They had that stem machine or whatever it was that they were putting on his calf, between series. And so clearly it's not 100%, and that's his right leg, that's his plant leg, and all of the things that go into it. And so we'll see how healthy he is now. But they have good enough receivers that they're still able to generate yards, and then they're moving the chains. They're moving the chains very, very well right now. So they just don't have the explosives right now because the quarterback doesn't have that ability to move around and buy some time to be able to launch it like he has in the past.
How does that challenge you as a defense when the offense is trying to get the ball out of their hands and out of the quarterback's hands so quickly? How do you combat that on the other end?
Well, first thing you have to be able to do, you got to cage rush it, which means you got to get the cylinder tighter, on him because it's coming out so quick. You're probably, if it's coming out in 2.3, you're not going to get there. So what you've got to do is cave it back on the inside, match hands. We've always talked about matching hands, especially if they want to throw it sideways, then you've got to get your perimeter people that are rushing to match hands on the quarterback. And it's not just getting your hands up. You have to be able to match it with the path that it's coming. You see them working it all the time in practice, defensive players, all defensive players that are going to be affecting the quarterback. And we used to tell our players on defense, if you're not going to be a pass rusher, which sometimes you can't be because of the way the offenses are set up, then be a pass defender. Be able to get match hands and deflect it. And then on the back end of it, depending on your coverage, you can either press it out there, to try to keep the receiver within the 5-yard limit, from being able to break it off, or you have to vice spot tackle. And vice spot tackling is not just the guy that it's thrown on, that normally if you're out there, it's going to have a two-way go on you with a quick throw, but you need to use your leverage. In other words, you need to understand where your help is coming from. So if I'm an outside corner and I've got underneath buzz help, well, then I know when I break up, I need to use my outside shoulder and shoot that because I've got inside help coming. The main thing you got to do is get the receivers on the ground. You got to get them on the ground when they catch it. That's what spot tackling is. And so there's different ways to combat it. The biggest way to combat it is get the score separated.
Sure.
You get the score separated, and then then it's just an extension of the run game. If you separate a score, you're going to let people run the ball a little bit on you because it takes longer to be able to generate something towards the goal line when they're throwing it that short. But you got to do that. You got to get the score separated.
Mac, one way to supplement Joe Burrow is to incorporate Joe Mixon.
Yeah,
you've seen him. What do you think about this guy and what he can provide this weekend and just to their team, Coach?
Well, he's a first-round talent coming out of Oklahoma. We all know the issues that he had, so he dropped to the second round. But he's got a first-round talent. This is a good, thick, contact balance runner. But he's also really a good receiver. He's a very, very good receiver, and he's a heavy runner. Even though he doesn't weigh a lot, some guys are just heavier in their pads, and he's heavy behind his pads. He's the same foot, same shoulder back when the ball is in his hands because he'll drop that front foot and then drop that shoulder, and so he's a really good football player, and that's the reason they took him. I mean, Zach Taylor's used him to his advantage quite a bit, so you can't go to sleep on that dude running or catching the ball, and they'll try to get mismatches with linebackers or second level defenders with him in that quick throwing game also, and he's a good pass protector because he's a strong guy.
Coach, man, I know you've been around the block a time or two.
Well,
man.
That's either good or bad.
That's a good thing.
Well, I mean, some blocks are not good to be around. But.
Oh, that's true. Avoid those ones.
They harden you, Coach.
Well, the issue is I've been to most of them.
And you're still here.
Well, I'm still here. I'm okay.
But that sounds exactly like what coaches told us in the meetings about Joe Mixon. Don't underestimate this guy when he got the ball in his hand, or if you think he's not that big, he will abuse you, Coach Matt.
Yeah, see, and you've been in those meetings. And, you have those personnel meetings, on Wednesday.
Yeah.
When you put everybody up on the board and show the matchups and circle the guys, and these are dudes, and this is, here's who they would like to run through. But that's been his MO ever since Oklahoma. I mean, the guy's a problem with the ball in his hands, and you don't let him get started. That's the issue. Don't let him get started. That's a problem when he does.
And real quick, on the other side of the ball, Lou Anarumo.
A really good defensive coordinator, and he's very understated.
Yeah.
He runs a 4-3 defense. He's very understated, but he's really, really good. If he can get on top of you, and he's worked really well with Zach, because Zach is good at in their successful years of separating scores, and then he gets on top of you. He rushes with 4, and he will. He's got some coverage things that he can do, and he's got everybody's got him, guys. And so you're gonna have to protect your edges every week in the National Football League. Most everybody now has at least one on the edge and has at least one front end loader at defensive tackle. Everybody's got him, and this team has them too. Hendrickson's a great player. Yep. Great player, from Florida Atlantic. I mean, you saw him coming around those edges. He can come. Sam Hubbard's not an empty chair, at all. Coming off of the edge, and then DJ Reader on the inside. Ramon, you've dealt with him before. I mean, this dude is a dump truck. I mean, he really is, and he's a heavy load in the middle, and he's really made their defense a lot better. Because now and I tell you the other guy like the linebacker that's playing middle linebacker now from NC State,
Jermaine Pratt.
This guy was a 3rd round pick, and he has really developed into a good second level linebacker because he's a little over 6'3". I remember him at the combine, about 245, 250, but he was he's a 4'6" guy, coming out, just running on the turf up there. But this guy's a really good player. And they've used him a lot of different ways.
It was hard to do anything against the Browns, clearly. What Jim Schwartz has done up there, I mean.
Well, here's the first thing Jim Schwartz did. Went to a place where they got a lot of players.
Yeah.
Which was very smart.
Very smart.
And they've probably got a collection, especially across the front right now and in the back end. When you've been as bad as they've been for so many years and you're drafting in the top 5 of every draft, every round, you're going to have players. The only thing they were missing was a quarterback. That's why they went out and spent $230 million, and they finally got a guy that, he's still got all his physical skills with him. So, yeah, and, Schwartzy is a very, very smart man. He came here for 2 years, and Mike Vrabel was very generous, and Schwartzy loved the time he was here because he thinks this is a class organization too. But there's some dudes up there.
Yeah.
I mean, Myles Garrett was the number 1 pick in the draft, not the first round draft pick, a number 1 pick, and then they go out and get into Zadarius Smith. That's as good a defensive front, I think, rolling through as I've seen together in a while.
Is there anything coming off of last week with this O-line taking what whooping that was? Let's just be honest with what it was.
Yeah,
to look towards this week with this front. I mean, because this is no shabby defense either. This is no shabby front either.
Well, you're not gonna play anybody in this league. I mean, there are no Division I AA teams on your schedule. Everybody's got dudes. But the thing you've got to do sooner or later in this league, regardless of what you do, everybody said, well, there's no magic wand scheme for blocking people. You can ask this guy sitting right here. Sooner or later, it's going to be you against him, and you just got to get your cleats in the ground, and you got to decide, I'm not going to be that guy today, or I'm not going. This is not going to be all day. You'll win some, you'll lose some, but you can't. Sooner or later, you've got to lean on yourself, especially up front, because everything starts up front, Kayla, as you well know. And so, here's what I would say that they would get from it: block some people better. I mean, that's what you're going to have to do. If you got a double team going, stay on the double team a little bit longer. If you're going to set on the edge, understand when the ball's coming out, when it's not, and just those types of things, because the challenge does not get easier week to week in the National Football League. It does not get easier. And the other thing about the National Football League is, and Ramon can verify this, what you've done the week before doesn't necessarily have to bleed over, good or bad, into the next week. You got to go to work, and so we need to go to work.
Well, the one thing I was going to say on defense for them too, maybe a weakness for them, and we talked about it with Rhett yesterday, is the run defense, right? You can run a little bit on this team. Yeah. And look at the Titans, right? They're hungry for some yards on the ground after last week.
They've given up. But here's what you're going to see. Okay. And people were, a lot of them said, well, Jim Schwartz knew what they were going to do. No, Jim Schwartz, I worked with him for 5 years, and anytime we had a great running back, just when we were going against Baltimore those years, Jamal Lewis, Maurice Jones-Drew twice a year down there in Jacksonville, we'd always put that over solid or under solid front up there and say, we're not going to let that guy get started. That's the same thing that he did. And Derrick Henry has run against more 8.5, 9-man boxes than any back in the league in the last 2 years. And because that people know what he is, and they don't want to let him get started. So you're going to have to be able to either crack that wall. I mean, there were times, I think, right, Ramon, where they're all up there. You got to block. You got to crack it. You got to crack it, and that's a mindset. But at the same time, the thing that backs them off, that backed me off as a defensive coordinator when I was flogging the line of scrimmage to stop a great back, hit a couple of them on me.
Yep.
Hit a couple of them on me, and then But the other thing is, as long as you're behind the sticks or behind the scoreboard, then defenses can continue to do that.
Yep.
Once you get the score separated or not, then they can't do that. And so, anyway, it all goes together. It's not just one group, believe me.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Mack with us, presented by Two Rivers Ford. Coach Mack, when you watch Andre Dillard at left tackle, what is one thing the Titans will want to specifically fix that was, obviously, other than going up against Myles Garrett? Won't have to do that this weekend, but what is one thing they will be coaching him to do differently, perhaps, this weekend against the Bengals?
Well, he's got to be more solid on his man on the edge when some guy's working the edge on him, and you can't. We saw Hendrickson do it to the left tackle of the Rams. I mean, you start giving up that edge on your outside edge sometimes when you're trying to get set. And Ramon you can't let them get the edge immediately on the jump.
No.
I mean, that's just it. I mean, you got to be able to shock and shed. You got to be able to shock them at some point off the line of scrimmage. You got to be able to shock them, and that's what happens. And that's anytime they start working your edge immediately without that initial shock, the advantage, especially if the down and distance is in their favor, because Cleveland I'm tired of talking about, but what happens was when they know that you're going to throw it, they're in track stances. They're not doing anything else. I mean, they're lining up, with that leg cocked back like a mosquito on your arm. I mean, they don't really care, when they know you're going to throw it. They really don't. I mean, and as an offensive, so you got to stop that initial charge. I think number one to begin with, and if you're going to chip a guy like that and take a guy out of your immediate 5-out scheme, then the chip has got to stay with it for a while, because a lot of times, and I've seen it through the years, because I've been fortunate enough to be involved with a lot of good rushers, on defenses I've been associated with. If sometimes the chip can get in the way of what's going on as far as – so it has to be timed up correctly. So I think all those things will come into play.
And that's funny you mentioned that too, Mac. I remember a situation where you talk about that you got to get it off your tape. It's 3 weeks. The next week, the following week, and the week after that, it needs to be gone as far as you having bad film out there. I was reminded of a situation before. I know both of them, Calvin Pace and Sean Ellis, that played for the Jets. Week before,
I drafted Calvin Pace at the Cardinals.
You know what happened? I gave up a sack in Cincinnati my second year in the league. You know what happened?
Wait a minute, Ramon. Wait a minute. You gave up one sack.
I gave up a sack.
You gave up one sack in your career?
I'm
very disappointed.
It's been years, Coach Mack. I've only given up one. I've only given up one time.
There you go. That's because the Ramon Foster that I knew when I was watching never gave up a sack and never missed a run block. Okay, go ahead.
There's a lot of truth in that, Coach Mack. Let's leave the hair nor there, okay?
Take the surprise out your voice.
That's what I'm saying, Coach Mack. You saw the tape. You saw my tape. But what I'm saying is your tape travels.
Oh,
in that traveling, I gave up on a move, and it was a good move the week before. You know what happened on the first third down that next week against Calvin Pace and Sean Ellis? They tried the exact same move.
The same move. Yeah. I mean, there are no secrets in the National Football League. None. I mean, it is all out there. The other place there are no secrets is in the meeting room after ball games.
Facts.
There are no secrets. So it's not like, when people start saying, well, they need to tell them this. Everybody knows, good and bad. Mm-hmm. And the thing about even if you've got some good stuff on tape, they'll look for that one little thing. They'll look for that one thing. So, okay, well, he's good here, but you know what? He's really heavy on that inside foot. Let's test that outside, or let's as a rusher, let's test that chop club that time, because he's shooting those hands quick every time, and I know exactly where he's shooting both of those hands. And it's a yin and a yang, guys. It's back and forth all the time. And Ramon, I like you standing up and saying you gave up one sack.
Yeah, I gave up one, Coach Mack.
Well, your senior year, your junior year at UT, your entire offensive line gave up 2 sacks in 13 games.
That's all I'm saying, Coach Mack. It's been one thing that I've really honed in on is not having negative plays, Coach Mack. There was a level of consistency.
How long did you last in the league?
11 years.
All right, well, see, you can't give up too many and stay that long.
Starts.
Okay, go ahead.
Who's counting?
Not that anybody's kept count.
At the offensive line, you only get 1 or 2 stats.
Slay kept count. Told you after.
Slay kept it in check.
Coach Mack, our guest this morning, every Thursday morning at 6:20. Mac, thank you as always.
Guys,
thanks, Coach.
It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure starting off Thursday morning earlier. I wish we could do it earlier. Could we start one at 4:20 in the morning?
Hey, I'm up, Coach.
Okay, good.
Let's do it.
Let's go. See you. Thanks.
Thanks,
There's Coach David Gittes with us. We'll react to some of that. Take a look as
the Indianapolis Colts.
Sure. At
Look who's back.
tell Rhett Bryant's back in the studio.
Oh, you knew something was up back there.
Rhett's behind the glass.
Rhett is the puppet master, just with strings on us. Coach Mack not having it. Coming up,
Stare down.
Lou Holtz and Ryan Day feud continues later this week. We'll have more on that coming up.
The future of joint pain relief is here. It's called QC Kinetics, Advanced Regenerative Medicine. This is amazing stuff, and it's Ramon Foster. And if you've been told more steroids or surgery are your only options, don't be so fast. Get a second opinion and learn more about how you can harness your body's own healing agents to attack that joint pain. I'm talking lasting relief. QC Kinetics doesn't mask the pain. The treatments go to the very root of the problem, using concentrated healing properties placed directly in your joints to restore and repair that damaged tissue. Imagine living your life this fall with no more pain in your knees, your hips, your shoulders, your back, with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. And listen, life is all about motion, and QC Kinetics is giving their people their lives back with these all-natural treatments. Call QC Kinetics today for a free consultation, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. Again, their number is 615-249-4024.
Coming up at 7 o'clock, more from Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. Yesterday, a number of interesting topics from Mike Vrabel's press conference, including a 3-word piece of advice for a defensive back that we've talked a lot about over the last week. 615-737-1045 is our number here on your Thursday morning RKW. Guys, Lou Holtz and Ryan Day is becoming quite the saga. Of course, Lou Holtz, before Ohio State's win over Notre Dame, saying that essentially Ohio State is not a team that is tough enough to win the big one. Questioning Ohio State's physicality, especially against elite competition. Then, of course, Ryan Day, seconds after Ohio State beat Notre Dame, who had 10 players on the field for the final play, said, "I'd like to know where Lou Holtz is right now." Well, then Lou Holtz doubled down, talking to Dan Dockich on Don't At Me earlier this week, saying, "I don't feel bad about saying it because I believed it. Notre Dame was a better football team. 3 times Ohio State had 4th and 1, ran the ball and couldn't make it. If it was coaching, I would have said it. I would have went to our team and said, I think you're better. I think you're more physical. I think you're more talented."
Oh, Lou. I can just, I'm picturing and hearing in my head Lou right now. And just, I caught him on the Pat McAfee show last week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
When he was drumming up everything. And look, he was a coach for years in the league. Like, he's going to stick to his guns on what he's saying. I just think it's kind of funny how deep this has gone with Ryan Day, like letting it continue to go on. It's like, it is what it is. He said what he said, and you guys won the game. So there it is, right?
I almost feel like this is beneath Ryan Day to even respond to it.
Like, leave it alone.
That's a phone call. I'd hope that would happen, or either your donors get to Lou and say, "Hey, Lou, pipe down." Like, legitimately pipe down, man. I wasn't asking for your say so and what and how we go about winning here.
Well, if Ryan Day doesn't want people to say that, then beat Michigan. Win big games.
But
I mean, he's completely under control of that. And the thing is, like, is he also going to go after Vince Vaughn on game day for picking Notre Dame? Like, what do you want Lou Holtz to do? It's Lou Holtz. Even when he was on TV as an unbiased analyst, he always picked Notre Dame.
He was biased.
Like, are you going to get mad at Peyton Manning if he picks Tennessee? What about Tim Tebow? You mad at him for picking Florida? Like, what do you want him to do? David Pollack for picking Georgia? Like, wait, it's Lou Holtz.
Just punch him. Make a point, dude.
Come right on
The
out.
knockout.
I'm not really upset about either one of them saying either one of them because they're both doing their job. Lou Holtz is there to have an opinion, and his opinion did exactly what it was supposed to do. It riled up Ohio State and more importantly Ryan Day. And then we got an awesome post-game interview.
Exactly.
Like, I hope he says something about him every week. Say something about anybody with a energetic coach.
Yeah.
Just talk down about all of them. Nick Saban, I think you ain't worth a turd. And then we're going to get a great post-game match after that.
Yeah, I expect some coaches to talk crap like Lane. I expect him to say something. Now I kind of expect Saban to say stuff. Like Kirby and Ryan Day and, like, there's a few other coaches in that fold. I'm just like, why are y'all
Shane
even
Beamer.
talking to him? Shane Beamer, like, why are y'all even talking to him about this? Like, you're right. He's a Notre Dame guy. That's what he does.
Lou's like Will said, Lou's always been that way. We just hadn't heard from Lou Holtz in a while.
I love
You
it.
know?
I miss
And
the
so-
days on the football finals when you would have Mark May
Yes. Mark
versus
May,
Lou
yeah.
Holtz.
Yep.
And Reese Davis was the
Absolutely.
host of it, and sometimes he would dress up in a judge's
Yep.
robe,
Yep.
and they would do like Lou's court or whatever it was. Oh, it was those were the days.
Those are
and
really
they'd get
good
little,
right there.
little back and forth.
Yeah.
And
I don't
Lou
know if
Lou
it's
holds
getting
his
Notre
own.
Notre Dame.
I know. Friday Irish.
I'm going with Notre Dame.
Friday
What?
Irish.
I mean, I don't really like. I have no
That's
issue with it
messed
either way.
I would like a
but it's
Lou
like-
Holtz Build-A-Bear. You know, you squeeze it.
Voice.
I
Lou
love
Holtz.
you.
Oh, Notre Dame.
Oh my gosh.
Look how so strange. You know what? That's good for him. He start yapping them gums in the media. You open yourself up for almost anything now,
Of course.
man.
I could sit and listen to him for hours. I'm sorry. The guy is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, you know how you
Yeah.
could get celebrities to be your GPS now? You could get
Oh, my gosh.
turn left. Turn left.
I said turn
That's
left.
actually a pretty good Lou Holtz.
What if he's like reading a book? He's like, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Like, I would listen to him read books, man.
Me too. I love that guy. He's
Harry was
hilarious.
distraught when he entered the room and saw a giant serpent.
Well, Robert, as you say that, the actor that played Dumbledore just passed away. Don't do any more impressions. Somebody else might
Come
die.
on.
R.I.P.
Come on.
Michael Gambon died at age 82. Dumbledore.
He lived a good life, though.
Good life.
I mean, lose 86.
I know.
And he's still sucking succotash out there.
Gosh.
He's still doing his thing, man.
I love when older people get old
I
and just
do
start
too.
just.
Older people.
I am so for
Because Lou
it.
been old. You feel
Yeah.
me? Now he deciding, look, damn it, I'm going to start talking more. I love it. Give me some sound bites on your. No, that's bad. That's bad phrasing. On your way out. Give us some good stuff on your way out. I'm here for that.
Lou Holtz was old when he was like 40.
I know.
It's kind of like, you mean, yeah.
I'm throwing him and Samuel in the same conversation.
Who?
Samuel Jackson.
Oh, Samuel.
He's been old and everything. I think Samuel's pushing 80-something too now.
I would never know
What?
that.
I think he's, yeah.
I would
Are
have
you
put him in the
serious?
60s.
He's
Me
pushing,
too.
Yeah, because he's been that old for that long.
Dang.
How old is he? Say it.
74.
That's, yeah. I
both
thought
right.
60.
Yeah, we
maybe.
both right.
Right in the middle of
yeah,
it.
we're
Yeah.
right in the middle of it. I mean,
Was that the later Dumbledore? Because the original
Yeah.
Dumbledore, okay, yeah.
Already passed away.
Yeah, yeah.
God dang, is that a death position now?
Jeez.
Well, I mean,
Dumbledore does pass
everyone does die eventually.
At some point.
I don't know.
At some
Don't
point.
make me the bad guy now.
Oh, God.
Wow. That's terrible. Nice sweatshirt, Bert.
We got to go to break.
You got to do it in Lou
Wink.
voice. Do
Stop it, guys. We got to go to break.
Coming up, Mike Vrabel on Christian Fulton. Another short answer that then turned into a more insightful one after he had a little 3-word piece of advice for the defensive back. Coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, man. The one thing you're going to love about Hiller is this, man. They have true transparency pricing. That's no hidden fees, no added costs, no surprises when you get your bill, man. Everything is itemized and explained up front so you know what you're paying for and why. And they only suggest repairs or replacement if the customer actually needs it, not so they can just make some more cash from you right now. That's not how they operate, okay? And if you have some big things that need to be done around your house, stop putting it off, man. Like your regular HVAC maintenance or clogged bathroom drain. Hiller has some big discounts this month. When the temperature drops and you start using that heater for the first time, you don't want to be dealing with breakdowns and issues. This month, Hiller is offering half off HVAC tune-ups, and Hiller is bringing back their $99 drain cleaning special for just $99. Hiller will get you back up and running, okay? These deals only last this month, so be sure to call them or reach out to them at happyhiller.com.
7:01. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Titans hit the practice field yesterday with no real shockers on the injury report. Traylon Burks, Josh Wiley, and Harold Landry all practiced in a limited fashion, while Luke Gifford, Elijah Molden, Peter Skoronsky, and Tier Tart did not practice. On Cincinnati's practice squad report, I'm going to do it twice now, there was a shocker as Joe Burrow was a full participant. Tight end Irv Smith and wide receiver and starting punt returner Charlie Jones did not practice. In the NBA, we had a big trade yesterday. Portland, Milwaukee, and Phoenix agreed to a 3-team trade that essentially boiled down to the Bucks getting Damian Lillard, the Suns getting Yusuf Nurkic, and the Blazers getting DeAndre Ayton and Drew Holiday. The Blazers are going to try to trade Drew Holiday to accumulate more assets. And tonight in the NFL for Thursday Night Football, an NFC matchup between the 2-1 Lions and Packers. You can watch the game on Amazon Prime or listen right here on 104.5 The Zone. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Happy Thursday morning on RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors in beautiful Music City, USA, and streaming around the world. Craig, on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, 104.5 The Zone TV, where you can see our faces for radio. Our, meaning myself and Ramones. Kayla does not have a face for radio. We will never lump her into
you.
our foolishness here
You guys could do TV too.
on the show.
They'd rather not see us. We got face for radio.
That's Ramon Foster.
He did do TV once, I should say.
Kayla
I did.
Anderson.
You invited me. That was
Why not?
early,
Come on, what?
early pandemic.
Come on.
No, I did it
I
with
do
her.
TV
is what
all the
she's saying.
time.
I did
Well,
it with
no,
her.
he came on like for the first time he ever did and did it, and he was like, "What the heck is this prompter thing?"
I
What a
had
nice
no
time.
idea. Yeah, we were. I had no idea they operated like that. I passed.
Wait, what about my face?
Yeah, Bert, you're all about some TV.
You never put yourself on the stream.
Bert, you be awesome on a podcast.
What podcast?
On a
You should
podcast.
put yourself
Dan
on the
Lebertard.
stream every
I
now
do
and
not
then.
want to be on the screen.
Then there you go.
Go on to Joe Heasy. He gets on the stream all the time.
All the
Yeah,
time.
he does.
Speaking
By
of
the
Joe
way-
Heasy,
Yeah, he does. Uh-oh.
he had a great
just
game
in.
going last night. He was down 21-0. He fought.
Not surprised.
He
no.
fought back.
Usually that would get 21 skunk if you play anywhere
God.
where people are waiting to play. He would have been passing the sticks. Anyway,
Man, he
continue.
had a lot of people on there too.
He did
Like
because it was
20
actually
folks.
a good game.
Did we get him some hype?
Robert, continue.
I hyped him up. They got to 45-45, went to overtime, and he had the chance to kick a 61-yard field goal. He elected to go for the Hail Mary, which fell incomplete.
Terrible coaching.
In overtime, he held the Bengals to a field goal, so he had a chance.
Okay.
All he had to do, extend the game with a field goal, touchdown, wins you the game. Started going down the field, did not complete the first down. It was 4th and 1. He elected to go for a read option with Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill was tackled to the backfield and fumbled. The game was over, and you saw all of the computer players on the Bengals sideline celebrate.
I hate that he does that. He runs the option with Tannehill a lot. Or he'll go 4 verticals, drop back for like a half a second, and then run the ball for like a quarterback draw. You're running 4 vertical. Like, stop, Joe. That's why he lost right there. I hate it. That's the reason I turned him off
I
last
just
night,
love
Joe
how
Heasy.
you are so invested.
I am
It's
invested.
like you should be his agent.
I want to see Joe
should be his
Heasy
agent.
win.
He's on the hot seat, too.
I
Those-
he is on
Those
the hot
virtual
seat.
fans are going to start coming after him.
Kayla, I'm over Joe Heasy in this
You're
performance.
like you're out.
In
You're
the
checking
Infinite
out.
Bank chat, Ron Slay is here this morning, bright and early. Says, I
Yes.
watched it. He's trash.
What I'm telling
analysis.
y'all.
He has flashes, man. He'll have flashes where he'll be running the ball well, throwing the ball on screens well, when he only has one look. But then when he has to get multiple looks, he needs somebody else to tell him what button to hit.
So
Yeah.
we should start having Robert. We should play like the fastest 2 minutes music from ESPN in the background and have Robert do a studio update
Yeah.
every Thursday morning about Joe Hunk's baby Titans. Rumbling, bumbling, stumbling.
We're all rooting for him. I think that's the issue
Are we,
with
though?
it.
Are we? Because I think it's
What-
better for content
what's the real
when,
undertone
when he
here?
loses. This wouldn't be an entertaining conversation if Joe won.
But
we
he
probably
loses.
wouldn't even talk
wouldn't
about it.
even
if
say
he
anything.
Loses in dramatic fashion every week. Like, I just want him to get one win, wake that baby up where he's like, whoa,
Yeah.
we did it.
Imagine the scenes in the streets of Nashville if Joe Hunk ever lifted a Lombardi.
Hey, man.
This city would go crazy.
He's capable of doing it because he's playing the freaking computer, man. That's what's so sad
Well,
about
you
it.
might have just
And
stated the
it
obvious.
trips me out because I'm looking at him play, and I give him credit. As soon as I logged on when Bert hit us up, I was like, let me check. I rushed to YouTube to watch him, okay?
You were Stanley on pretzel.
Oh,
though.
my
Just
God. I had
hustling.
to go see it. He had a touchdown in that moment right there. He was down 36-20.
Right. He was, dude, and he came back. Joe Burrow kept gifting him interceptions, man. Amani Hooker had the game of his life.
And that's
Good for
all we're
Amani.
saying. Like, will you bring this up? Like, I'll get a trophy for Joe Heasy, man.
Well, he's got to win a game before he can win a trophy.
And then I hate that it lingers into the weekend with the actual Titans. Last week he got drugged by the Browns. That's all I'm saying. I don't
Wait.
need it correlated.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Now that is what I'm worried about.
Now, listen, if the Titans go head to head with the Bengals and it ends up in a 45-45 overtime,
Where's the X-Files music?
I'm telling you. Oh, no.
Look, and that's all I'm saying, y'all. That's all I got for him is I don't need it correlating.
Nope.
It doesn't.
Stop it.
I've won a lot of.
There it is. This is getting creepy up in here.
We've got Adam Amin coming up later in the show. Tell him, hey, look, if this game goes to overtime, blame a guy named Joe Hunkapilla from North Alabama.
I think the Titans will be calling him soon. Shut it down, Joe.
Shut it down, Joe, for real.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm cooked with him.
Thing is, he controls the wrong player on defense.
Oh, no.
You know,
He
tries to
controls the defensive end. You got to
There
be
we
the
go.
linebacker.
There we
You gotta
go.
use her.
Anyone on Madden, you have to control the middle linebacker, and you can use or lurk people and intercept them.
He's trying to be Big Jeff on that.
I was in during COVID a Madden-connected franchise with 31 other people, including a player in the NBA right now, currently, which was really random. Hard flex by me, literally the most humble brag of all time. But it was like you had to play like 3 games a week, and then if you like didn't play your game on time, you were given a loss. It's like, okay, well, I don't have time for this anymore, but it was fun.
Yeah. I played in the league that series too, where you had to play, couldn't simulate it, you had to play it all the way out, and you had to be on time. Like, we played a game every day.
I would be down for a 104.5 The Zone Madden Connect League.
Oh, a connected franchise?
We all pick a team.
Done.
Ramon could be the Steelers. I
Yeah.
could be the Ravens.
I'm in. Hey, set that up.
That actually would be kind of fun.
It would be cool.
Set that.
Might be do it.
Are you the one to set that up, Bert? Do you have a tip jar that we can help?
We could honestly do
assist
some
you
kind
with
of
this?
giveaway and add like a couple of listeners in there too.
Ooh.
And I can stream it from home too.
Don't you dare
definitely.
tempt me with a good time.
I'm playing on rookie though.
Interesting. I haven't bought a Madden since Madden 20.
I just got a new one for my kid. Spoiled brats. I love y'all. I love you. I'd say that because
Wait, it is the 7
Let's
o'clock.
say
It is
that.
the
Miles is
7
listening.
o'clock
Miles is
hour.
listening.
Fine.
There it is.
We're having a nice
There
time.
it is. Just for you, Miles, because your dad just called you a spoiled brat.
Hey, I love you, kid. Hey, let's go crush it tonight. They got a championship game tonight at Beach High School, by the way,
love
man.
it.
County championship.
Love it.
I say that because y'all grew up better than I did. That's the only reason.
Exactly.
Love you, Keys.
So for Slay, for Brent and Dawn, now you guys don't have to talk about Hunk's Baby
Perfect.
Titans because we went ahead and did it for you.
We did a whole segment
Now
on it.
y'all don't have to cover this later. You can just talk about the Titans and their actual game.
You're welcome.
Joe Easy.
Slay in the chat says, y'all have no idea. Y'all are feeding the beast. The beast has
gosh.
been fed. We're putting the beast to sleep. The Joe Hunk's Baby Titans have gotten their airtime on the zone today. We will move forward to real football, where yesterday Mike Vrabel talked at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park
RJ just texted me.
about Christian Fulton, about a number of topics. Robert, I should have queued you up more on this audio. Do we have this of Christian Fulton? talking about this. So Mike Vrabel spoke about this, and it's interesting, Kayla. He'll do this thing where it will seem like he's going to give a really short answer, and then you get a pregnant pause.
Yep.
And then you actually get one of the more insightful answers of the entire press conference. That's exactly what happened yesterday with Mike Vrabel.
What do you say or try to adjust with Christian to try to get him back to playing the way he was in camp and preseason?
I mean, do your job. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta stand up here and you think that, like, you asked me a couple years ago, like, you know, what you can do to help a pass rush or pass rush. Like, do your job. Like, cover your man. Play cover 2. Reroute. Play inside number 1 when you're in quarters. Whether it's a D lineman, whether it's a DB, you know. And you know, Christian did some cool things, and Christian challenged and he tackled, and you know, they had a penalty, and then they, you know, again, late in the game, I don't know, made a mistake, but you know, I think Christian's going to be just fine. You know what I mean? He triggered, he tackled. I thought he was trying to do the things that we want him to do. You know, just had a mental error late in the game.
So that's our first Q&K of the morning. And Kayla, I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, I almost feel like Mike Vrabel was honest and then almost recognized that he was too honest and needed to walk it back a little bit.
And that is the Mike Vrabel special, right? We get that sometimes where Vrabel kind of comes out with it and then he'll reel it back in. Because all in all, he is a player's coach and he doesn't want to completely leave them out there and run them over. But you just did kind of hear him say, just do your job. And that's what I took from it initially. Just do your job. You got to just do your job at this point. Christian, you're a vet. You got to just go out there and be a top cornerback, which you were drafted to be, a number 1, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, he obviously said some things about, you know, he'll be fine. But this is kind of the spot they're in, right? You got to make players accountable, but you got to be a little careful with treading water right now because the team is a little down.
I love this audio.
Oh,
Can we
it's
play this
phenomenal.
back again at a later time?
Yeah, we can revisit it.
Wow.
You didn't hear the one exchange with a certain reporter yesterday,
Yeah.
who Vrabel challenged
Did he?
him on
Ooh.
the question.
Hey, man.
Yeah, numerous times. It's fun.
I love it. Let's keep going.
Coming up, we preview the football weekend with our Thursday 3. Lots of interesting picks. I'm breaking one of my rules.
Okay.
Same.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Well, it's a rule that makes me money, but it's one that bores me
Okay.
at the same time. We'll explain coming up next.
It's Ramon and Will for Callum Stem Cell Institute. Man, if you guys are looking into making your body feel better, getting that inflammation out, and you need someone to trust, I'm telling you, Callum Stem Cell Institute is where you need to go, especially right now. They have their exclusive September special where you get a 10% discount to all Zone listeners, and this is only for the Zone, too. So when you go out there and get your consultation, be sure to tell them that Will and Ramon sent you. You're going to get that 10% off.
Yeah, that's right. You're going to get 10% off, and you're going to get relief from those aches and pains, the inflammation that you're dealing with. Dr. Kellum, you've heard us talk about his experience working as the team doc for the Boston Celtics with several major sports franchise with Olympic Team USA. You got to put his expertise to work for you. Take care of that inflammation, those aches and pains. It's under your control to get rid of that pain you've had for a long time. KellumStemCellInstitute.com. That's where you need to go. Mention ourselves, mention the Zone, get 10% off in the month of September. So act fast before the month ends. That's KELLUM StemCellInstitute.com. RKW is powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors right here on 104.5 The Zone. It is time for an early edition of the Thursday 3. If you miss it, typically during 9:20, we have 3 picks against the spread or against the total in NFL and or college football. We've got Rocky Boiman from WLW in Cincinnati coming up at 8:20. We've got Adam Amin of Fox Sports at 9:20. So Thursday 3 is going on right now. I have to ask first, by the way, I think I had some of my notes were mixed up. Robert, did you go 3-0 last weekend?
I did.
You did go 3-0.
My first
Nice.
3. I took all favorites, too. It was scary.
did.
It was very scary. And I didn't think the Rams were going to – I got lucky on a lot of it.
You did? The
Florida
Rams?
State went to overtime.
Yep.
They scored the touchdown, which got me the 7. The Rams got super close getting that touchdown at the end of the game, backdoored me. And what was it about Texas Baylor? Baylor was
Texas
a blowout.
Baylor. You were 9-3 this year.
Look at my dog.
Look at
Don't,
you.
no, okay, no. We're not going to do this
Okay,
because
Bush Jones.
I like being good, and eventually I am not good at gambling. I have not made my career earnings are zilch. I am in the red. So for you to say I'm good now I'm going to go 0-3 this week because I'm going against a lot of my principles. I don't like the board.
Chestnut checkers.
Oh, my.
I've never once looked at a board and said I don't like the board. Maybe that's my problem, but no, I'm kidding. Anyway, I did a lot of research yesterday. It took me a while this week because I feel like there are a lot of prove-it games in the NFL specifically, just like there were last week. So the records, Robert takes a 9-3 lead. Kayla is 8-4. I am 7-5. Ramon goes 2-1 last week and is 5-7.
He's bouncing
Nice,
back.
Moan. Let's
5
go.
and 7, baby.
You're Derek Dooley.
Like my senior
Yeah.
year in college.
Got those orange pants.
Aw. At least you can laugh about it now.
Do you have orange pants, by the way?
I do not have
Okay.
orange pants.
You ain't got no checkerboard overalls or
Check.
nothing?
I thought about buying them, but it's such a hassle to go to the restroom in those, so I elect not to.
That's why you didn't get them? Not
think
how
it's-
you look the 99% of the time you wear them in front of
Overalls
people?
are easier than regular pants, man. You just throw the straps over and let them
No,
drop.
but you gotta drop your overalls and have cheeks out like a
Yo,
kid.
no.
Like
Yo.
learning how
That's
to
not
potty.
true.
There ain't
Learning
nothing
how
wrong
to
with having
potty.
cheeks out when you pee.
If I could do that when I was a high schooler with the cops come in and I just took off the overalls and peed and then still made it away from the cops, you can do it.
We got to get some checkerboard overalls.
You can do it.
I can do it, but
You can.
Because we talked about this before. Overalls are a big boy thing,
They
man.
are.
If
Oh,
you were
yeah.
in there in some checkerboard overalls with nothing underneath,
Yeah.
oh man, dude.
He said with nothing
With
underneath.
nothing underneath.
What you got on them overalls,
I
Mom?
think Keisha might like that
It
look.
might be do it.
That might be do
It
it.
might be do it.
Keisha's
then, man.
gotta chime in on this now.
Hey, what RJ texting on her
Okay.
behalf. She's driving right
In
now.
Okay.
3, 2.
Ooh,
I never liked the checkerboard overalls before I went to UT, and then I went to school, and I had no idea how many people wore them.
yeah.
Like students, because obviously we're not in the student section when I was growing up, like going to games. I don't know. I was never a checkerboard overall guy.
I can't
I
wear
never
them
owned
because
them.
of group chats. This is why.
Wait, what?
I had a good buddy of mine wear them to a game in a very fandom type
Oh.
mode, and we joked the hell out of him. Okay?
Never heard the end of it.
Yeah,
Oh,
never heard
no,
the end of it.
man.
I like the idea, but I live in group chats with my friends. I
You
think they're my
do.
friends.
Relatable.
That really will derail your life,
Uh-huh.
okay? Especially if it's in a losing effort or something like that. It's like you really wore
Sure.
that to the game. That's the reason we lost. Like they put crying Jordan faces on folks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Photoshop like your kids in the picture and stuff.
Oh no!
Oh my God,
Dang.
it gets serious.
I
So-
mentioned it before, though. Like, you can't wear overalls as a really skinny guy. Like, I don't have the, like, you're seeing too much of my arms at that point when I was in college running and I was like pushing 130 pounds. Like, that was not in my best interest to wear overalls and further accentuate the fact that I literally could not bench press a pencil.
Those are the guys that sell turnip greens on the side of the road.
That's right. That's right.
Green.
Would not have
Turnip
been
greens.
a good look for me. I still can't really pull it off. I'm a little bit more, but I had nowhere to go but up. Anyway, Thursday 3. Robert, as our leader, will go first. Kayla second. I'll go third, and Ramon will bring up the rear
It's
again.
my last week going last. I'm telling you.
Well,
I'm leading the charge. from
you would
here on
have to
out.
go 3-0, and I would have to go 0-3 in order for you to not be in last.
How's
So
bragging camp going?
pretty well, actually. I'm going to stay overnight next year.
Something that's not going pretty well, Cincinnati this year.
Yeah.
They have been
Bad.
horrendous. They're wishing Luke Fickell would have stayed. They got BYU in Provo this week. I think BYU is the better team, and the fact that I can get them at plus money is egregious, I think. So I'm going to take BYU plus the 2 in Provo to take down Cincinnati.
I almost took this. I also think that line has moved, Robert.
Oh, what did it move to? Talk to me.
One moment. I think it was 5.5 for BYU.
Plus 5.5?
I thought so.
Oh, I think give
That's
me
even
that's-
more reason for you to
Right?
take it.
Bring my wheelbarrow up
Yeah.
here, throw them extra
Let
points
me,
on top there.
let me confirm.
dog, like, you gonna get a little bit more.
So Cincinnati, I was very
Okay, Edo.
close to taking this one. Which, by the way, Cincinnati last week, I had Oklahoma minus 14.5. Oklahoma won by
20-6.
14. But then the day of the game, it moved to 13.5. So I doubled down. So I won the bet that I actually made. But then the one for the show I didn't make, which
It's always tough.
disappointing. I can't find this game.
Give me 1 second. Somebody else go next, and we'll.
I will go.
we'll
Kayla is
figure it out.
second.
Why did I decide to go back to the Sun Belt? I have no idea.
Fun Belt.
But I'm going to continue to have fun with it, or try to at least. So let's do this again, folks. So there is a matchup this weekend between App State and Louisiana Monroe. If you remember, Louisiana Monroe just coming off of a loss, obviously, to Texas A&M. It was like 42-3 or something along those lines. But this line is crazy, and I don't really think it's going to be this big of a margin against a technical rival in the Sun Belt. I'm going to take the over 50.5 because I think App State's a great team, but Louisiana Monroe isn't that poor. And obviously, you can't really compare them to an SEC school in terms of not putting up points, right? I think they'll put up some points. I just think 50.5 is crazy, so I'm going over.
Kip?
No doubt. It rolls.
I am going to go with a trend that has been very profitable for me the last 2 years since I've started betting it. Unders in primetime NFL football, ladies and gentlemen, over the last 5 seasons are 132, 87, and 4. 60% of the time, unders in primetime hit. Also helps typically that bad teams like the Giants and Cowboys when they were bad, and, you know, I'll give a little jab to the former employer, the guy sitting to my left, and the offense that they currently have, even though the Steelers are 2-1, look pretty good this year.
Mm-hmm.
Betting the unders in Steelers primetime games has also been very profitable this season. Well, that's a credit to your defense. So that's not even really a jab. I take that back. Tonight, Lions and Packers. Total has gone under in 4 of Detroit's last 5 games, and the total has gone under in 6 of the last 9 games between the Lions and Packers. Give me under 45.5. And I'm breaking a rule because it's not fun betting an under when you want to watch a game in primetime, but it has hit 60% of the time over the last 5 seasons.
Okay,
No doubt.
fair.
My first one up is this Texas A&M and Arkansas game.
Sure.
I'm taking Arkansas plus 6.5 where it was as it stood last time. Home game, new quarterback for Texas A&M on the road. They are 3-1, but Arkansas's got a great environment at home. 11 o'clock kickoff. I can see this plus 6.5 being close. KJ Jefferson definitely should play a big part in that one, especially with a backup quarterback on the other side.
If that was a night game, I would have bet it too. But the fact that it's an 11 a.m. game is why I stayed away.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought about that one as well. Marinated on it.
That's fair.
Pick number 2, Robert.
Does anybody like free money?
Yeah.
I usually enjoy it.
money.
I'm going to go with this because I'm still updating my line on my second pick. The Chiefs are playing the Jets. It's a long spread, and I do not care. Taylor Swift is going to be in attendance. Travis Kelce's going to go off. And the Jets cannot score any points, y'all. They ain't going to do nothing. So I've got the Chiefs covering the 9.5 in New York. I feel like if they can score 41 and hold the Bears to 10, they can do the same thing to the Jets. Jets have a little bit better defense, but I don't see how if the Chiefs don't win by 10, this is a disappointing win.
So I have the same thing, actually, minus 9.5 Chiefs. I think that right now they're just getting into the groove. Meanwhile, the Jets are figuring out what the heck they're going to do moving forward. Aaron Rodgers gave him a little advice with leaders stepping up. But look, Aaron Rodgers ain't in that building, and Zach Wilson has bigger problems. And it just doesn't seem like the team knows where it's going. I think Kansas City handles this one easy. So
One bet I wish I could make in that game is I guarantee you Aaron Rodgers will try to get on television because Taylor Swift is reportedly going to be there.
Oh, boy.
I wish I could make that bet.
That'd be a good one.
If I put
Prop
the
bet.
over-under at 10 mentions of Taylor Swift on the broadcast.
Hammer the over.
You're hitting the
Hammer
over?
it. Hammer it.
Now, here's a girl that she's talented. I mean, I tell you what, Aaron Rodgers is a star, but not even close. My daughters and my son love her.
Well,
That's a bad Chris Collinsworth, but you got the message.
Especially if it gets to be a blowout early, right? Then they're going to be taking her suite every second.
Yeah, they are 100%, and she probably got the biggest suite in the stadium.
Sweet.
By the way, the Arkansas A&M game is in Dallas.
Oh, okay. Jerry World?
Neutral site.
That's Dallas.
That's Dallas. Yeah,
Nice.
definitely. He's an Arkansas. Is he Arkansas alum?
He's
He was
Arkansas guy, yeah.
we saw
Oh,
him
dang,
in that old
that's
picture.
right.
Yeah.
That old picture.
But next game.
Wait, isn't Jerry your daddy?
Hey, easy.
Is not my,
No.
I thought I was ready to roll.
No.
Jerry Jones might be my daddy.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Robert.
It's my favorite drop.
TJ in the F&M Bank chat says, Jets money line. Seen it here first. I did see it there first. I don't know if I'm going to see it again, TJ.
gosh.
I respect the hustle.
What'd you put on that ticket, brother? You might as well just give it to me. I'll put it on the other side for
I
you.
don't know. TJ, you can gloat to us if you're right next week.
Oh, my gosh.
Georgia at Auburn in the loveliest village on the plains. The Georgia Bulldogs, ladies and gentlemen, have covered 6 games in a row against Auburn. 6-0 against the spread in their last 6 against Hugh Freeze's Tigers. Auburn 2-4 in their last 6 when playing at home against Georgia against the spread. Some analytics for you right there. Give me Georgia minus 14.5. That went a little bit too low for my liking down there in Jordan-Hare Stadium.
Nice.
Now you
man.
can go, Ramon.
Here we go. All right, I got this Florida-Kentucky game.
Okay.
I looked at this too.
Me too.
Florida-Kentucky game. The line has actually moved down now to 1 for UK. -1 for UK. I actually got Florida at 3.5. I'm taking that one all day. Florida, especially when you got Stoops asking for his fan base to be kind of liquored up a little bit going to the game. If you got to ask for that, then in Kentucky, it's not your move. I got Florida winning this one. They always have good matchups, though.
Mm-hmm.
They usually do.
That one's interesting.
Yeah.
Graham Mertz in Florida did not look impressive against Charlotte last weekend.
Yeah.
And my backdoor bet, Biff Poggi, he covered. So they did not win by 28. So if you bet that, you got your money back plus the bet.
Now.
My last bet of the day. I think I might just go against Clemson for the rest of the year.
Sure.
I'm not impressed. I think they are not the Clemson that we have came to know. So they're in Syracuse this week. Syracuse, a sneaky 4-0. Beaten Purdue and Army. They have not scored less than 29 points this year. Their quarterback, 6 touchdowns in the air, 6 touchdowns on the ground, only 3 interceptions. I've got Syracuse covering this 7. I've also seen it stoop to 6.5. That's at y'all's discretion. Whatever you want to give me.
I'll give you 6.5. I saw it there last night.
So I've
Putting this
got Syracuse covering that at home against Clemson.
Okay.
So I kind of bring the Pac-12 over here in terms of betting because, look, you can't go wrong with the start that the Washington schools have given a lot of bettors so far this season. I don't bet on my own school, but I will bet on the other school. And right now, the Washington Huskies are doing some business. Michael Penix Jr., who I have been on the train of since last year, is dealing. Like, this is a guy who is leading the country right now, I think, in passing yards. They're off to a 4-0 start. They are putting up almost 50 points per game. They have a rival, not a rival game, but a in-conference game this weekend against Arizona. It is at Arizona. Arizona has not beat them in Tucson in 4 straight years. And if it is going to happen this year, it would be a miracle in my eyes because this is the best Washington team that they've had. I think Arizona's defense is actually pretty legit, but not to the point where even if they slowed down the passing game, Washington's run game is still good, right?
Yeah.
I think for me, I'm going to go ahead and take the minus 18.5 in this one as the Huskies take on Arizona.
So this one is 17.5.
Okay.
The way I see
Yep.
it now. So you get
Got
an
it.
extra point there.
Perfect.
Nice.
Washington minus 17.5 over Arizona on the road.
Yep.
Give me the Duke Blue Devils for the second time this season.
Okay.
Duke is 7-1 against the spread in its last 8. This is a something's got to give game because Notre Dame is 9-0 against the spread in its last 9 games against ACC competition. But I think the fact that this is a night game at Duke, what a wild sentence. A night game at Duke. If this environment is equal to what it was when Clemson came to town to start the season, I think Duke is going to be just fine. Covering 5.5. I love a home dog under the lights in a primetime atmosphere.
College game day in Durham for the first time ever.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Crazy. So, and I don't mean the Cameron ones. Duke plus 5.5 against Notre Dame. And if we were doing a super dog like they do on College game day, I like Duke to win this football game over Notre Dame.
I love that.
I think Mike Elko gets the job done. I think it's a letdown game after the way Notre Dame lost. If they can't put 11 guys in the field at home, then what mistakes are they going to make away from home in a hostile environment for the first time this season?
That's fair.
Give me Duke.
Where is Mike Elko going to coach at next year?
Michigan State, maybe?
I don't think he needs to take the Michigan State job. I think he can do better.
I think they're going to be behind up there, I feel like.
Yeah.
Michigan State.
Yeah,
I'm with you. I
that's a
think they
rebuild.
can do better.
Yeah.
But if I need a coach, I love when guys go to a program that's historically bad and just raise them up. Like that's the guy that would be number one on my list if I'm not a premier college.
Well, interested to see if Jimbo Fisher does, waver a little bit at A&M. I don't think he's going to be let go there unless they really just the wheels fall off. But Elko came from A&M,
Would make a lot of sense.
Good
where he
point.
was the defense coordinator.
I bet you they're already looking
Who
over.
knows?
Elko.
Ramon, third and final pick, please.
Last pick goes to right here in Nashville,
Okay.
Missouri at Vanderbilt.
Thought about this one too.
And I got, I think the spread on this one right now is stand 13.5. I actually got Missouri covering that and winning, just on the basis that in the last 3 weeks, Vanderbilt has surrendered 40 points a game. 40 points a game. They can't stop a nosebleed if they want to, and their quarterback just keeps getting sacked. I will say this. He does have a rally effect in him. It's just not enough right now. It's low, and Clark, you're an alum. They're going to give you time, I would hope, and you're going to need some time. I do look at his situation and say, boy, if they had this one kid, Michael Wright, to at least extend some plays out. But decisions were made, and he's happy, and they're happy. But I got Missouri coming into town and making it happen.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt 0-6 against the spread in their last 6 games. Yeah, I looked at that one too. I mean, I don't know. Their success against Missouri a few years ago was notable at home. They beat them. But yeah, I didn't want to gang up too much on Vandy. Otherwise, I was going to make the same pick. I already did the Wake Forest pick against Vandy. I needed to get some variety.
We got to call it how it is.
They're never
Well,
going to
I
let you
know.
back over there, Will.
I know.
Well, let's go look at the live stream.
We could always bring you in with a crane.
Ramon said, "Let's go look at the live stream of their construction." Look, you like construction. It's progress.
I love seeing progress.
Yeah, it's a good thing for them.
You were critiquing the workers.
I was critiquing the workers. They
Well, it's
critiqued
raining.
me.
I don't know if they'll be out there.
I want to see what they're doing now.
Yeah, I'm going to the live stream.
Thank you.
Coming up, Ramon updates the Vanderbilt facility live stream and another Q&K with Peter Skoronski, who surfaced in the locker room yesterday on his chances of playing this weekend. Coming up next.
It's football season and it's time to switch to Zen Sports, the fastest growing sports book in Tennessee, changing the betting bonus game with their cash rewards program. When you sign up for Zen Sports with a referral code, earn a welcome bonus that gives you 5% cash back on your total betting volume for your first 15 days of betting. 5%. Think about that for a second, okay? And on Zen Sports, if you keep betting, you keep earning. Earn up to 3% of your betting volume every month with their cash loyalty program. What other sportsbook is rewarding you every month with cash, not credits or points? So stop wasting your time and money on other sportsbooks when you could be earning real cash rewards with Zen Sports. Download today on the App Store or at zensports.com. Your wallet will thank you later. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. You must be 21 years or older and present in Tennessee to bet.
Your Thursday morning RKW is powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors right here on 104.5 The Zone. Coming up in 15 minutes, a little preview of what to watch for in Thursday night football tonight, where a win for the Lions would mean they could do something they have not done in more than 6 years. And it's something that's very easy to do. We'll tell you what that is coming up next. 615-737-1045 is our number. Peter Skronsky was in the locker room yesterday. Mike Vrabel spoke about his availability for Sunday that we'll get to. We'll also hear from his conversation in the locker room with Caleb. But I find it funny, and it's kind of cruel. Funny is probably not the right word. That when Peter Skronsky had appendicitis, he had the same thought that I did when I had appendicitis. It was like, oh no, I ate something bad. I had gone to a place that I love, a chain restaurant that I love the night before. I'm not going to give them a shout out because I don't even want to insinuate that they got me sick. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, I just ate some bad, burgers last night. Hey, I'm fine. And then quickly you realize that there is an organ inside of you that no longer wants to be inside of you, that is exploding.
Right.
And then you have to go to the hospital. But Skronsky did talk yesterday, Kayla. Just good to see him out and about again.
It was good. And he was actually eating at his locker, which was also a positive sign because a lot of the times, you don't even want to eat anything after this process. So I thought it was funny. He was doing the interview and kind of munching on a snack.
I remember that. Well, I ate something the next day. It was fine. Mm-hmm. It's just the day of the surgery, you don't want to eat anything because you have no appetite. But the next day, you can eat.
Well, you're not supposed to eat the day of the surgery anyway.
Well, it's not like you're planning for surgery, though. You don't plan for your appendix to burst.
And it burst
I mean, the day,
at St. Ascension.
After you do it.
The hospital, I think.
Yeah.
Dang.
That's worse, too, if it does burst. That's a much worse process. Mm-hmm. This was Mike Vrabel yesterday on Skronsky's availability.
Doing a lot more, so that's been good. Just his, just overall demeanor and feeling better and what he's been able to do as far as in the weight room and just, conditioning and, eating and just getting stronger and getting healthier.
So that was Mike Vrabel on Peter Skronsky. This was Peter Skronsky in his own words about his return from appendix surgery.
How are you feeling?
Doing better, starting to feel normal again, which is good.
Coming back this week, obviously trying to make the start this week. How do you kind of go through this week in terms of that and knowing you're ready?
It's really just, day by day and seeing what I can do each day, kind of gradually improving that and kind of increasing that load. So, haven't really put any date on terms of when I'll be back, but just sort of what I can handle every single day and just kind of improving from there and working from there.
Is it tough to sit back, and watch these games and kind of a game like that specifically in Cleveland? What do you take from that, or what can you take from that to continue to kind of improve while you're not out there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's only so much you can do, sitting on the couch at home, but I think it's just everyone kind of has to do their job, whether you're on the field or off the field, and my job is to get better and get back to where I was. So you just sort of want to hone in on that even more and keep working through that. That's the only real thing you can do.
What do you see if you do play, and just from the film this week from this Bengals front? That's another good one you guys are facing. It's 1 week after the other.
Yeah, I mean, they're a really heavy physical front.
Mm-hmm.
Tough to move, really sound, really smart. So it just sort of forces you to hone in even more on your techniques and your scheme, because you know that they're gonna know that well and they're gonna play that well. So it's kind of gonna be a battle in the trenches for sure.
So there he is, Peter Skronsky.
Yeah,
I bet he's a great boyfriend.
probably a very nice guy. He is a very nice guy. I love
Seems
it.
very polite.
He is very nice because he had the scrum before me, and I said, "Can I sneak in and do a one?" He was like, "Yeah." He's so nice.
Why did that pop into your head?
He just looks so, I don't know, kind of dreamy. I'm watching the video of it. You can watch it on Kayla's Twitter. He just looks like a good boyfriend, like somebody that you would, he would, if you were sick, he would get you tomato soup. He would hold the door. He would call your mom and ask her what your favorite things are. He just looks like a good boyfriend.
He's a nice dude.
He's a nice dude.
Mm-hmm.
What in the world is wrong with you?
I can't date him. I'm spoken for. But if any women are out there listening, I would say I would try to hit up Skronk.
Skronk.
Big Pete.
What's that, Pete hot sauce?
Pete's.
Texas Pete.
Texas Pete.
Texas Pete.
Texas Pete.
Get you some of that Texas Pete.
Tennessee Pete.
Sounded like an Australian
Tennessee Pete now. Pita.
Pizza.
What is in the air today? This
I don't
room?
know. The rain did it to us.
It did. My feet are wet right now. That's probably it.
Anyway, Peter talked about the weight loss in terms of getting your appendix out too, because you can't eat for a certain amount of time because you have no appetite.
That's probably what did it. Made me think he was dreamy, like in his face, you know.
Right? He slimmed down a little. Slimmed down a little.
Coming up, a Thursday Night Football preview. We'll see who else Robert wants you to hypothetically date coming up in hour 3.
Hey, it's Ramon and Kayla with more about Window Nation, Kayla, and more from Window Nation, too. When it comes to new windows, Window Nation always gives you more, but now they're giving you even more. That's more windows you buy, the more you save. Up to 50% off, plus a lot more. Yes, pay nothing for 2 full years. It's another amazing deal on the windows that gives you more for your home, more energy savings, more value, more features, more options, and more beauty.
And you were talking about getting that 50% off. It's any style of window to be exact, and they have a little bit of everything. Bow, bay, double hung, any style you want to choose from, you can get that. And you can really save thousands on your new windows with pretty much, decreasing your energy bills. It is getting to be that time of the year before we know it. You're flipping on the heat, and you don't want the heat to go out the windows. I don't know if you've ever done this, but you go up to your window and it's freezing cold. Yeah, the stuff's like shooting out there if you do not have solid windows. And that's why we want you to get new windows from Window Nation, because they have over 10,000 online positive reviews. Their installers have years of experience. They've installed nearly 2 million windows. They have a 96% perfection rate. So if you're looking for a way to save on your energy bills, this is the place to go. Check them out, windownation.com, or simply call 866-90Nation.
What's going on? 7:58, just about 8 o'clock from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Titans hit the practice field yesterday with no real shockers to the injury report. Traylon Burks, Josh Wiley, and Harold Landry were all limited, while Luke Gifford, Elijah Molden, Peter Skoronski, and Tier Tart did not practice. Now, one shocker on Cincinnati's practice report was that Joe Burrow was a full participant. Tight end Irv Smith and starting punt returner Charlie Jones did not practice. We had a big trade in the NBA yesterday as a 3-team trade went down. Portland, Milwaukee, and Phoenix, which essentially breaks down to the Bucks getting Damian Lillard, the Suns getting Yusuf Nurkic, and the Blazers getting DeAndre Ayton and Drew Holiday. The Blazers made it clear that they are willing to trade Drew Holiday to accumulate more assets. And tonight in Thursday Night Football, you got an NFC North matchup between the 2-1 Lions and Packers. You can watch the game on Amazon Prime or listen right here on 104.5 The Zone. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second half of the show starts now on your Thursday morning RKW. We've still got a lot to discuss with the Cincinnati perspective and the national perspective on Titans and Bengals coming up this weekend. Rocky Boiman, former Titans linebacker, teammate of Don Davenport's on ESPN, radio host on WLW in Cincinnati. He'll stop by coming up in 20 minutes. We've got Adam Amin, who will be on the play-by-play call for Fox Sports, along with Mark Schlereth, the rest of the Fox crew, as the Titans take on the Bengals Sunday in Nissan Stadium. Adam will join us at 9:20. If you miss any of the show, well, you can find it every day, every hour, wherever you download podcasts, Apple, Spotify. Leave a review while you're there, and you can hear the Big Ragu, Ramon Foster, the one and only Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, the most interesting producer in the world, and I'm just Will. 615-737-1045.
I'm just Will.
You need to make a shirt.
I gotta write the daggum song. I'm just Will. But I don't know what rhymes with it besides what I said yesterday that hurt Will's feelings.
Something about Bill.
Oh.
Bill? Pill?
Anytime I wear a hat, it doesn't have a bill. Oh, when we go out to eat, I pick up the bill.
There you go.
There it is.
Yeah.
Okay, we're working with something now.
See?
When we talk sports, it's quite the thrill.
Oh.
There you go.
When I make dad jokes, me you want to kill.
There you go.
A little dark.
You want to kill.
I just got to get the instrumental now. Now
There
we
you
got
go.
the lyrics.
Does anyone play guitar here?
I do not play a guitar. Although
No.
I met this weekend Taylor Swift's guitarist.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, sure did. Got his number too. He lives here in Nashville.
Wait, why are you saying this so casually?
Because I did. I met him. I took a picture with him and everything.
Did he know who you were?
We talked for a while. He figured out who I was. Well, he's not. Music people don't really do sports like that, though, too.
No, I know. That's why
A
it's
lot
so
of them
I
shocking.
don't know. You'd be surprised.
Well,
Really?
Some of the biggest sports
Well,
fans
some-
are musicians who
that's
are like
true.
on the road watching everything all the time, and they know athletes, so that
But then
they
some
become
don't.
Yeah,
attached.
absolutely. Let me I'll give you his name right here.
I thought you were going to say
He's
give you his number.
No, I'm not gonna give you his number. No way, no how, man. But yeah, certainly met him this weekend. Real cool dude on the sideline in Cleveland.
Okay.
Real good time, man.
Nice.
Yes, indeed.
So he was not in Kansas City with Taylor.
No, he wasn't. He was in Cleveland watching Browns. He's a Browns fan too, by the way.
We got a whole bunch of fans. Yeah, and remember that songwriters night we had for the LLS for the campaign? The songwriters, Mark Beeson, I know, listens to the show. Shout out. They love sports. That was probably one of their coolest things they said, just getting to meet some of the players and Mike Vrabel, some
Nice.
of the songwriters here in town.
Yeah. Paul Sidati.
Okay.
Yes, Taylor Swift's guitarist. He's been with her since she first started too, by the
Wow.
way. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, they first started, I heard they had a lot of conversations, and then she ultimately said, "You belong with me."
Right.
Well, ever since
there
then,
we
they've
go.
been.
He hadn't left.
So did you get the tea?
Did I get the tea? No, that tea hadn't been spilled yet at
Dang,
the time.
that's right.
It was before the game.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Dang
Yep,
it.
it was before the game. Sure was. Paul is his name, man. He did the national anthem guitar style
Yes.
in Cleveland this past weekend.
That's right.
Sure did. Yep, ran into him. It was pretty cool.
Thursday night football tonight is Lions and Packers. Both teams 2-1.
Mhm.
The Lions have the chance, guys, to achieve something they have not done in more than 6 years. The Lions have not had the division lead outright in week 4 or later since week 15 of the 2016 season. Since week 15 of the 2016 season, the Lions have not had the outright NFC North lead, and they have the opportunity to do that tonight.
Is it bad to root for them, man, like this?
Of course not.
I don't think so.
I'm
It's
okay
great.
with this being the case, man. Like, God, this should be a good matchup right now. Anyway, I mean, looking at Love do his thing too, like Jordan Love, like,
Yeah.
and just the way golf has reemerged in his second career. I like what they got going on. The defense, and Dan Campbell had a plan. It looked ugly. Nobody understood it, but he had to revamp that squad around, and them going to Green Bay tonight, I will be tuned into this one. This is going to be a good one.
I'm excited. And look, you're right. Jordan Love, too, also doing his thing for the Packers. And a lot of people had question marks about him because we just hadn't seen him. And they're certainly enjoying the early success under him there. But this is something I think the Detroit Lions look at this and be like, nope, not again. We're not going to be dominated by Green Bay.
Yeah.
We're gonna take this into our own hands. I think that'll be interesting to see how that goes down tonight. Kind of just establishing like the dominance there for them.
This is a good game to have.
Yeah.
For sure. And then, of course, I'd say with the Amazon
The
showing
Prime.
that they've done, they make these games where you want to watch them.
Yeah, there's
And
a lot
I'm into
going
this
on.
one. Yes, I'm into this one. This almost feels like it should be a Thanksgiving Day game, though, too.
Right.
Well, it's a good presentation.
Mm-hmm.
I think Amazon has crushed it. I really enjoy it.
They
I
put
really
a lot
do.
of money into it,
I know
right?
Al Michaels and people have their critiques of Al, and he's done it for so long that he just doesn't get super excited on big plays like he used to, and that was mainly an issue just in the Chargers-Jags playoff game last year, where there's like the last play of that game, he just doesn't sound excited at all. But I think they've done a really good job, and I think their studio panel they have pre-halftime and post with Andrew Whitworth. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is a rising star in broadcasting. He's such a smart guy. Krista Thompson is always doing a good job. I'm not a huge Richard Sherman guy, but he's also there. I think it's a really good studio setup they have there.
They also storytell. And from being a
Right.
broadcaster in TV for so many years, like that's what sometimes you don't see. And they actually do a great job of incorporating that with some of the pieces they do. And then they get beast mode involved, obviously, sometimes. And that stuff is always just like, I'm just sitting there just glued to the TV. What is he going to do next, Marshawn?
Marshawn Lynch going into Amish country last week before the
Amazing.
Eagles game was incredible.
So good.
A must-see.
Y'all ever seen the Quakers?
Never in person.
Yeah.
I have. They're pretty cool. They just go about their business,
Yeah.
man. To hear those horse hooves on the ground and stuff, like they do the whole cart and buggy stuff. It's actually real stuff.
Yeah.
Love their oats.
Oh my gosh,
Me too. Quaker Oats? Heck
phenomenal.
yeah.
And the swing sets.
Really? Didn't know
Wait,
that was a thing.
Did
Swing
not know
sets.
that was a
You
thing.
know, they very good carpenters, man. They do a
Okay.
lot of like outdoor stuff, like barns and stuff, like swing sets, like tree houses and stuff.
That's who we have
Big
to thank.
time. Big time. Yeah, no,
Okay.
they're good. They're good. This is one of these other pointless facts things that I have, man.
was gonna
Y'all
say.
just let me keep going too. Y'all just let me go. Of course. And I'm just like, what? By the way, the Packers and Lions do play on Thanksgiving again, though, too. So,
Well, there you go.
I
Yeah,
was
there you
right.
go.
You being a scheduler.
Don't pat me on the back. Y'all pat me on the back right now. It's like, yo, you did a good thing.
I'm about to come in there and pat you on the back right now.
Hey, you keep it up, okay? Before I get Peter Skoronsky in here.
Yeah.
don't
Leave
now, come
Peter's
on.
name out of this
Come
conversation.
on, man. That's my dude. He looked like a Greek god. He got that Greek head of hair. Like you just want to tussle it.
I swear.
For the Packers, a win would be a big deal for Jordan Love, who led a 17-point, trying so hard, fourth quarter comeback win last week. 7 touchdowns, 1 interception through 3 games. Jordan Love averaging 12.5 yards per completion.
That's good, man. I know a lot of fan bases don't want to hear this when it comes down to you taking your first-round quarterback, but this is the back end of it sometimes if he sits. Now, of course, his situation is a little bit different. He was behind Aaron Rodgers.
Sure.
And you got a coach that you think you like up there, too, and he's out for blood. Jordan Love really is, and it looks that way. You got to tip your hat. And I'll say this, too. The public narratives of him and Aaron Rodgers was bad, but I will say when he beat the Bears – to see that text exchange between him and Aaron Rodgers let you know that it probably was a little bit better than you thought it was. He told him, way to keep the ownership going of owning the Bears. I thought it just looked quirky stuff like that. It's just like a kid trying to figure it out for himself like Jordan Love. That was some cool stuff. So it's not surprising that he's doing well, Will. It's just that you didn't think they'd be able to survive past Aaron Rodgers. That's always the case when you have a franchise quarterback.
And that's what I think you forget about sometimes in this league is I think if every quarterback that was drafted high that maybe wasn't ready to start right away got a little time, I really do think the success rate of some of these first-rounders would be higher. Yeah. Unfortunately, the league is not like that. If anything, it's gotten more so what can you do for us lately, right?
Now.
But you do really wonder, is this an example of that? Is this an example of some of those guys that have failed? And I can list them in the first round. If they had a little more time, could they be something more like this?
Yeah.
Just a question.
Nobody gives second chances to washed-out quarterbacks like that, though.
How much of that, though, is just because you had Aaron Rodgers in the room?
And that's another thing. I don't know. Maybe that's a big part of it, too.
Definitely brought that up. Not everybody has that luxury.
Right.
And it's the same thing that he had in front of him with Favre. The thing is, comes down to what Caleb is patience.
Yeah.
How much can you how long can you be patient while also winning?
And there's not many.
And they did the right thing with him, too, Will and Caleb, by giving him a little extra cash this year. Say, we're not sure what you are. I think that's good business on both ends. Sure. He's proven it now. But a lot of it does go into it being Aaron Rodgers. And it seems like they drafted a guy that does the exact same stuff that he does. You have a type sometimes as an organization. Going away from it sometimes or trying to figure out what you're going to do next, unless you do, I always correlate it to what Baltimore did. They went from Joe Flacco to Lamar. Like that is, you got to change everything. And that's why everybody behind Lamar right now operates like Lamar Jackson. They were, I almost think Green Bay got lucky.
They've gotten lucky in the past too, huh?
But you have to.
Yeah, they have.
I mean, Indianapolis got lucky with Andrew Luck and the way you had Peyton Manning, who's out for the season with an injury, and then you luck into the, no pun intended, number 1 overall pick, who was like the most can't-miss quarterback prospect of 10 years at that point.
Yeah.
And in between, though, they had some downtime, though, right? Some down times from Andrew Luck to now.
Oh, yeah, from Andrew Luck to now.
Quarterback-wise.
Right. I just mean from Peyton to Luck. The way they seamlessly got to transition is not something that's normal.
Yeah,
he's lucky.
It was lucky, and just like last year's quarterback, 2 years ago, you couldn't really pull much out of that in the first round with Kenny Pickett.
Well, heck, you could make the argument the Titans were unlucky to pick in the top 15 this past season in a quarterback draft that didn't give you a legit option at 11 the way teams in the past have had.
That's true.
At that point of the draft. I mean, granted, we talked about a couple years ago the fact that Justin Fields was picked in the same spot. That didn't look as good as it used to. But still, I mean, you got to be bad at the right time.
You got to be bad at the right time.
Cincinnati was bad at the right time to draft Joe Burrow. He was a full participant yesterday at practice. Calf injury. Irv Smith, tight end, did not practice. And Charlie Jones, wide receiver, with a thumb injury, did not practice for Cincinnati. And we get the word out of Cincinnati from former Titan Rocky Boiman on the radio now at WLW up there in Cincy. Have we underestimated just how injured Joe Burrow is? He'll give us the local perspective on the Cincinnati Bengals coming up next. Hey, it's Will Bowling. Are you looking to keep your home in great shape year-round? Of course you are. And since you are, you got to sign up for a Lee Company home maintenance plan for $12 a month. It's great to have a plan and to have people who are experts at what they do, and they're going to do it all for you. So listen to this. Lee Company is going to offer you 4 service visits a year from the Lee Company team of experts. So that's a heating system tune-up, an air conditioning tune-up, an electrical inspection, and a detailed plumbing inspection. 4 annual visits, $12 a month. For the very best in-home service, you've got to call Lee Company at 615-567-1000. Do it today, and you certainly know that the best time to make sure that your heating system, your AC, is in tip-top shape is before it messes up and before you are left out in the cold. For the very best in-home service, give Lee Company a call, 615-567-1000. Visit them online at leecompany.com. Search for the home maintenance plan to join their membership. That's Lee Company, all you need. It's RKW powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors right here on 104.5 The Zone as we talk Titans and Bengals with you. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, Robert Walsh, our producer, as we bring in former Titan, NFL linebacker Rocky Boiman. WLW in Cincinnati, where you can hear him as we preview Titans and Bengals this upcoming weekend. What's up, Rocky? How are you?
Guys, how are we doing this morning?
Good.
Good morning.
We are great. And I got to ask you first, before we get into Titans and Bengals, what is your favorite part about working with Don Davenport every weekend?
Well, I mean, Don, just first of all, is just a pleasure to work with. There's a lot of people in the business, as you guys know, that are just a pain in the butt, and they're needy, and they're this and that. But Don she goes with the flow, always just, ready to go. And then, I mean, look, she's just good at what she does. Very prepared, knows her stuff, and very good in the moment. As a sideline reporter, it's not just about the stuff that you research during the week. It's getting that moment when someone makes a big catch or the offensive line's breaking down, knowing what question to ask and giving those observations minute to minute. And I think she excels at it, man.
Absolutely. I know our Zone listeners always tune into you guys to see where in the world is Don Davenport. So I know there's a lot of people listening to us this morning who have watched you guys quite a bit on weekends for sure. So I always enjoyed tuning in. Rocky, with this Cincinnati team, though, how much nationally are people underestimating Joe Burrow's injury and just the amount of pain this guy is in to play football games right now, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think especially if you've seen Joe Burrow and you know how he plays, you would say he's not himself yet, right? I mean, I've always thought I think the number one best quality Joe Burrow has is just his quick timing. He sees the field, sees everything so quick, right? I mean, that's the number one thing he does. But I've also thought he's sneaky good at staying alive in the pocket, right? He just has a good feel of things, and he can scramble around. He's not a runner. He's not if you were to list who are the best scrambling quarterbacks in the NFL, he probably wouldn't be top of mind, but he's sneaky good at it, right? He can just move around and extend plays, and he's not been able to do that with that calf. And, so there's definitely – it's not the guy that Cincinnati fans are used to seeing the last couple years. We can only hope that things get better quickly, for a lot of reasons. First of all, because, this is the NFL, right? You need your best player to be in as good a health as possible, especially the quarterback position when this offense and this team is so Joe Burrow driven. I mean, this is a Joe Burrow driven offense, period, end of story. There's not much balance to it. It's Joe Burrow and getting the ball up to the playmaker. So for that reason, and also and Ramon knows this, we've talked about it this week. As a player, it's only a matter of time. If you're favoring an injury and you're out there moving around, and look, you play because that's what you do. But it's only a matter of time you can favor something so long before another injury happens to pop up, and the Bengals can't afford that to happen.
And you tweeted that too, man, the other day. It's only a matter of time before this hits the head, Rocky. And how do you feel about that? But where are the plays going to come from if it's not from Joe Burrow with him distributing the ball to? I know Joe Mixon is there too. So what do you say about this, him being on the bubble when it comes down to this injury in this offense?
Yeah, and that's what's surprising, Ramon, is, he threw the ball. Okay, so look, it was basically about game time that the decision was made with Burrow was going to play. If you'd bet money that morning, most people would have said he's not going to play. But, okay, hooray, he's going to play. So you're saying, okay, clearly they're going to try to lean on the run game a little bit. And Joe Mixon, who's been performing very, very well, you got $1 billion tied up in the offensive line you've built over the last couple of years. Surely they're going to run the ball. Guys, he had 49 pass attempts. He had 31 in the first half. I would have lost a lot of money. I would have thought he would have had under 30 the entire game. Mm-hmm. Now, look, I know this is an RPO offense, right? So he's reading things, and if the read is to give it, he gives it. If the read is to pull it, he pulls it. But, I mean, come on. I think at some point you got to get some more design runs in. First of all, because it's working. Second of all, because it gives you balance. And third of all, you got a quarterback back there that you hate to say it might be a ticking time bomb with that calf. Why put any more unneeded stress on it?
Yeah, and that's where it becomes problematic. But I'll say this, too. Looking at that game on Monday night, there were, and I'm not sure if it's because of his injury or what, and, of course, he's the quarterback, Rocky, so we're going to watch and look at everything. But his receivers had, I thought, more drops than I thought they should have been afforded in that game. Do you think that's because of his change of technique because of the calf, or his immobility as much as it used to be in weeks past and stuff?
Mm-hmm. I think that's certainly part of it. I mean, just because some of the precision accuracy isn't there, because, man, do I really step in and drive into this throw? And there's that little thing that goes off in the athlete's head. Okay, what about the calf? What if this is the play? What if I really drive off this thing, or I spin out and set up and throw across the field? Is this the play where that thing is going to go? So that's number one. And then, but also it's just, and this just has driven me nuts for the past couple of years here in Cincinnati, is the lack of, in my opinion, preparation in the offseason and the preseason for the offense especially. Zach Taylor plays virtually no starters on offense. He's done that the past couple of years. He's from Sean McVay, so he's learned it from him. He's never going to do it. But, the last 2 years, this Bengals team has started off 0-2, and in my opinion, in large part due to the fact, well, one, Joe Burrow missed training camp, but number two, they're just not in sync. Wide receivers and routes and timing and RPOs, that's all very, very precision stuff. And I give the example, how do you get good in life doing anything? I don't care if it's radio or football, you do it. You do it over and over and over, and those skills must be honed. Ramon, I don't know about you, but I've been doing radio for a long, long time. I call college football games a long time. If I were to take a week off, that next show I do is kind of crappy, right?
Yeah,
for the first, at least for the first hour, because you're not boom, 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 like honed in there. So I think all those things, all those factors have come together. That has been, in my opinion, the explanation for why this offense and this team has started so slow.
Rocky, there aren't too many head coaches that go head to head with Mike Vrabel and dominate like Zach Taylor has done with the Cincinnati Bengals team. Mike Vrabel's 0-3 against Zach Taylor and the Bengals. What have they done that has not allowed, I guess, the Titans to find success against them?
Well, I think first in past, and I'm thinking back to the playoff game and all that. I think they've now allowed Derrick Henry to get going. As you guys know, it's a very Derrick Henry driven offense, and it's also just a sneaky good defense that this Bengals team has. And that's the thing. Over the past couple of years, as great as the offense has been so consistent. Now, the first 2 games of the year, the defense was a letdown. It's like, man, where's that defense that always bailed us out and got the timely sack or got the timely turnover? Well, it was back last week. I think 6 sacks of Stafford, 2 interceptions. The defense finally showed up. So I think it's just a combination of, look, the Bengals are a good team. It's in Cincinnati, it's almost like no one wants to say that out loud because so many years the Bengals have been subpar. But the Bengals have, in my opinion, one of the top rosters in the NFL, and they have the past couple of years. So what wins games? Good players. I think Deion Sanders has proved that. Oh, we need better culture. You need damn better players, okay? So the Bengals have really good players, and I think the Titans have good players too, but I just think that the roster the Bengals have and have put out there have been able to overcome that.
How much of the talk there, because I'll tell you what, the talk here this week has been the left tackle and Andre Dillard, and it was not a good showing up in Cleveland, and Myles Garrett pretty much had his own show going on up against there. How much of the talk been this week of just Trey Hendrickson and maybe continuing to kind of eat on that left side against what we're assuming Andre Dillard's going to start?
Yeah, when Trey Hendrickson could possibly be in for 2 exceptional scenarios and 2 exceptional games in a row. In the Monday night game, he was going up against, I forget his name, 57. He was a backup offensive tackle, and he was just eating his lunch all day. So now this week, he's going to get Dillard, who's struggling, from what I hear, down in Nashville. So yeah, he's probably licking his chops a little bit, and that's a key thing. Trey Hendrickson, in my opinion, under the radar, has been, I think, one of the best free agent acquisitions the Bengals have had in, I don't know, a decade at least. He came over from the Saints a couple years ago, and I remember they signed him to a pretty big deal, and everyone's like, who is this guy? He's not a household name, right? He's not Myles Garrett. He's not Von Miller. He's not, whatever, Jarrell Casey, right? He's not a household name, but the dude has just produced over the last couple years. And last week he kind of got that spark back and got that fire back. So Bengals fans are hoping that translates again to this week.
Rocky Boiman from 700 WLW in Cincinnati, our guest. Rocky, who is the unsung hero of this Bengals offense? We talk so much about Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, the offensive line adjustments that have been made over the past few seasons. Who are we not talking about enough who you feel like is an unsung hero of that group?
Man, what a great question. I would say it's Joe Mixon because I really wish and hope they would utilize him more. Because if you're not going to utilize him more, why didn't you address that in the offseason, right? Why wasn't it okay? If you don't think he can play or he's a good enough player to be a dominant running back, why didn't you address that? My eyeballs show me that he does pretty good when he gets opportunities. But I would also say. Tyler Boyd, he's been with the Bengals a long time. God, I don't know, I forget when he was drafted, 13, 14, something like that.
Right.
And he's been a guy that's just been a consistent contributor. He doesn't get the headlines. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins get a lot of it, and Joe Burrow, of course. But Tyler Boyd has always just been steady Eddie out there and really, really produced.
Well, T. Higgins, Rocky, is a guy that people in this state know very well from Knoxville, Oak Ridge High School Wildcat, who at one point was committed to the University of Tennessee and now finds himself in an interesting spot, right? A lot of reports about his future, who the Bengals are going to pay long term. What is kind of his status within this offense right now as they try to get some comfort and some rhythm once again? In a big season for T. Higgins, what have you seen from him this year?
Yeah, well, it hasn't been near productive enough from T. Higgins' perspective. I mean, last week had 2 catches for 21 yards, and he was targeted 8 times. And you guys were talking earlier about some drops and things like that. I mean, that's part of it. He's got to find a way to corral that ball and get that thing in, especially to your point in a contract year. And this is the part that fans hate because it's like, oh, we got to sign T. Higgins, and then you know what, we got to sign. We got to sign Tyler Boyd to another deal, and then we got to sign another offensive line. Well, you can't sign everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like at some point, especially when your quarterback's making $250 million, you just can't sign everybody. So I don't know. I mean, Jamar Chase for sure is going to be here, but I don't know. I think it kind of depends on what T. Higgins does this year. If he makes himself where he is absolutely indispensable, like we can't live without him. Okay, he'll make a big money here. But if it's on the borderline, I think the Bengals will address some other needs and look to the draft.
Rock, it's fascinating looking at the Cincinnati defense because here's the thing that I see with it. There are no real blazers off the edge. Like, Sam Hubbard is a big DN. Trey Henderson is a big DN. You got big D tackles. Heck, Jermaine Pratt is 6'3", 250. They are a heavy defense, man. How does that look for them over the haul of the season, and how have they been able to do it? I know Lou Anarumo is a guy who sends a lot of heat. Is that how they supplement the lack? And I don't even want to say lack of speed because I don't know everybody's 40. But, like, how do you supplement getting to the quarterback when they're heavy body guys instead of just blazers off the edge?
No, it's a good point. And this, I mean, Trey Hendricks has been, the guy. But, look, he isn't Myles Garrett, right? He's not the guy that's just you're going to double team and he's going to, still put up, a bunch of sacks a year. He gets a lot, and he's very, very productive. Bengals are sure lucky to have him. But, yeah, I think it's a lot of it is scheme-driven. And Lou Anarumo knows this team. I mean, DJ Reader is an unsung – you want to talk about an unsung hero. That guy, another – just fantastic free agent signing, a guy that I don't think they're going to be able to keep after this year, especially if he continues to play well. But yeah, I think they kind of do it, through scheme and through the collective. I think the back end is pretty good. 2 new safeties this year that are growing, but yeah, I just think through scheme they find ways to do it. Now, Miles Murphy was the first round pick, and he's done. He hasn't really, shown up much. Hasn't been bad. Hasn't been phenomenal. But, I mean, he's a guy that I think they're hoping with his – talk about speed and athleticism. He's that guy. I would argue, to your point, which is a good one, that's what this Bengals defense needs is some more fast, some more speed, some more twitch coming off the edge.
Rocky Boiman, join us now. Go ahead, Ramon.
No, I was just going to say, did you guys just birth another star, too, potentially with Dax Hill? He had a good Monday night.
Oh, my God, he did. I mean, and he was a guy last year, Ramon, that, like, in the preseason, games, he showed up. He would flash. So you would play here where, you watch the screen and, the guy, wide receiver catches a bubble screen, or oh my God, he's got space, and boom, here comes Dax Hill out of nowhere. So there's some speed there in Dax Hill. He had a phenomenal game, attacking the line of scrimmage, which is a reason why the Bengals felt confident enough to get rid of Jesse Bates. Jesse Bates was a fan favorite. Everyone loved him, and he was a good, solid player, but he wasn't as dynamic as Dax Hill, and so far Dax Hill has shown up.
So much we talk about in the NFL, that window, right? The window of opportunity to really win a Super Bowl. And you can argue they've been in a window at this point to do that. And, maybe even we could say about the Bills and their window kind of shutting as we talk about that. So how big is this window, Rocky, for the Cincinnati Bengals right now? And how much is that talk in Cincinnati? Like, we need to get that actually done. We've been there. We need to now actually get it done.
Well, it's a great question, and it's talked about weekly, daily here. And because this is the team, this is the roster, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, this is where, as I said earlier, I think one of the top rosters, top three rosters, top to bottom in the NFL, because you address the offensive line. You brought in Orlando Brown, paid big money for him. Paid Alex Kappa and those guys up front last year. You still have T. Higgins on a rookie contract. You still have Jamar Chase on a rookie contract. Joe Mixon is relatively cheap right now. You just paid Joe Burrow, so something's got to give, right? Something's got to give next year. You can't keep this whole band together for another year. It's just the reality of the NFL, like we talked about earlier. So, yes, this is the year, which is why the Bengals getting off to an 0-2 start and 0-2 in the division was very, very disappointing to Cincinnati fans. And then to get Joe Burrow's injury on top of that, it's just like, man, this is the year, right? There's actually national pundits predicting the Bengals could win the Super Bowl, and it's not like a joke anymore. It's like this is like a real team because they have been the last 2 years. But it's just right now, I think people still think that can be, which is why I think if you ask Cincinnati fans, a win this week is so crucial, right? You can't be 1-3 with arguably the easiest part of your schedule is going on right now, right? The Bengals play Tennessee and then at Arizona. That should be a win. Seattle's a good team, but that should be a win. Then the bye week, and then you get the gauntlet, right? San Francisco, Buffalo, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. Jacksonville's decent. So, getting to that bye week with, 3 losses, 2 losses would be better. That would, if that could happen, then this Bengals team, I think, could probably live up to those expectations.
Rocky Boiman has been our guest this morning here on RKW. Rocky, great stuff as always, and make sure to keep Babs in line for us every weekend still.
It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it.
That's right.
She's great, and we'll have a good time here this weekend. Always a pleasure being on with you guys, and we'll talk again soon, all right?
Thanks,
Absolutely.
Rocky.
There's Rocky Boiman with us. Interesting, guys, to hear just the desperation in this game for Cincinnati, because I feel like we get so inundated with obviously the Titans' perspective. It's the team we cover every day.
Yeah.
But you could argue Cincinnati is equally as desperate for a win as the Titans are.
That's what scared me.
Almost, I think more desperate.
Really?
I do, because you got the
that
guy.
Window. Mm-hmm.
You got the guy. You got a headliner dude in Joe Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more desperate.
And he just said it himself. That window, they're already saying it's going to close here.
And I
after
love
this
it
year.
because it's Cincinnati. Absolutely.
Exactly. I saw you smirking over there with Bert.
I mean, Bert said something in my ear that was real nice and sweet, man.
Sure.
So, of course.
Yeah.
It's always been Cincinnati, though. They've had good teams.
Yeah.
615-737-1045, the number. Coming up, what Jeffrey Simmons had to say about affecting Joe Burrow in the pocket. Another Q&K from the locker room, and details on a trip that we're very excited about. Coming up in a couple of weeks. That's next on RKW. RKW is powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors right here on 104.5 The Zone, and we are headed to London.
Yeah.
For Titans and Ravens. Tune in as ourselves and the Buck Rising Show broadcast from the Admiralty on Friday, October the 13th. Don't walk under any ladders on your way there. Thanks to the Ingram Agency. For more info, visit 1045thezone.com/events today. And guys, we are excited.
Yeah.
And the Titans will be having events, parties, opportunities to grab a pint all weekend.
Fish and chips.
They don't serve their beer warm, do they? I think it's cold.
Of course not.
Okay, all right.
Just the milk.
Milk is served warm over there?
No, I just made that.
Oh, okay, good. I don't
believed
drink
you.
milk anyways.
Fake facts with Bert.
He was milking that, honestly.
Yes, he was. For everything it's worth.
Greg writes in, says, great show this morning, at Ramon Kayla Will on Twitter. I listen every weekday driving to work. I would love to join your Madden League, but like Will, at Will_bowling, I haven't purchased Madden since 2020. Well, Greg, you're in luck. You're still probably better than Joe Honk.
Yeah.
Respectfully.
Disrespectfully.
Okay, disrespectfully.
Because Ron Slay is over it.
Slay's going to
He is over
immediately
it.
text us because I know Slay is tired of hearing about the baby
He
Titans.
is.
Yep.
He said us encouraging Hunk is like us walking past the classroom where our friends are and getting them in trouble.
Uh-huh.
He said we're encouraging the bad friends that's already grounded. He's already in like making C minuses already, and we just champion them on walking past the classroom.
Right.
He
It's
said
like,
that's what we're doing.
They're already in the hall.
When mom tells you not to rile up the dog before you go to bed,
Oh, God.
you just walk up to the dog.
I'm guilty of that every night. Every night.
Anyway,
He said that's what we're doing now.
don't look at me, Slay. Look at Greg, who wrote in on Twitter. Thank you, Greg.
Slay.
We're going to stop.
Slay shut us off just now.
Let's hear from Jeffrey Simmons on affecting Joe Burrow. I think, guys, this is the most interesting storyline for me from the Titans' perspective on exactly how they can affect the quarterback without getting home, because Joe Burrow in Cincinnati is going to make a point to get the ball out of his hands as quickly as possible, keep that calf healthy. Jeffrey Simmons spoke with Kayla about this, another Q&K inside Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park.
I mean, yeah, we just haven't won against them, but you go back and look up every game we played against the Bengals as well. Of course we haven't won, but it also is just not scoring hella points. So at the end of the day, this week is going to be about affecting him, making them, when they get down there, kick field goals or just taking them. We have to get the ball, create turnovers, but at the end of the day, like I said, our job this week is to affect Joe, make him uncomfortable because we know that he's dealing with a calf injury, make him move out the pocket because once we affect the middle of the pocket, we see him dirting the ball or throwing it out of bounds. So, yeah.
How much pressure is on you guys, knowing that the offense has got some things to work out to set them up as well as you possibly can?
It's no pressure. It's no pressure. We all have to come together and find a way to win. At the end of the day, we have to work together, offense, defense, special team, to work together to get a win. We have to do our job on defense. Like I said, affecting the quarterback, knowing what Jamar Chase at, because we know that's his playmaker. They have other good skilled guys, but at the end of the day, that's his guy, and we have to be able to affect the quarterback this game.
And Jeff, he gets the ball out quick. You've preached time and time again, just even getting your hands up, right? Getting a tip ball, anything to make that him squirm.
For sure. Now we're just talking to Nico about that. We might not, of course, everyone look at the sacks, but it's plenty of ways to affect the quarterback. If we could get our hands up and have 10 batted balls with 0 sacks and get a win, that's affecting the quarterback. So, like I said, at the end of the day, Joe not running around a lot this right now because of the injury. So with him sitting in the pocket and us affecting the middle of the pocket and getting our hands up, is going to be big this week.
Yeah.
So there he is, Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah.
I think that's the key to the game defensively.
Mm-hmm.
Titans have got to have more deflected passes at the line of scrimmage than Cincinnati.
Yep.
And watching him play the sideline as much as he did in that Monday night game with Jamar, it's going to be fascinating. I'm looking forward to seeing if he can do that again against this defense. The Jamar Chase, that is. They moved him everywhere. And, of course, that's all you want to do is put the ball in your playmaker's hand.
I would agree. So I think that becomes difficult with Jamar Chase because the question becomes, would you rather have one guy shadow him for the entire game?
Mm-hmm.
Or do the Titans ultimately decide wherever he lines up will predicate how we handle it.
Bigger
yeah.
question is, who do you trust?
Well, it's
Who
To
do you
shadow
trust?
him.
Accurate.
Yeah. This is LSU on LSU right here this
Yeah.
weekend if it's Christian.
We better be ready.
and that was the case in the
Yep.
playoff game too. And Fulton actually, other than one play, was good
Was
against
good.
Jamar Chase in that game. Other than the screen pass where he missed the tackle in open space in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
It is crazy. I think back to that game. There are football games in all of our lives where we can vividly remember almost every detail of them. That's one for me. Because genuinely, and Bengals fans listening to us right now are going to be smiling as I say this because I know we got a lot of them in Nashville. That entire game changed the trajectory of this Titans franchise. 100%. That was the season for you to make a run when your window was most wide open. And I know I'm, kind of rubbing salt on a wound here, Titans fans, but genuinely, this is, you need to have the kind of response that you should have had last year after that game.
Oh, yeah. And you came close, but you didn't win. And when it comes down to it, you haven't been able to beat them under Vrabel.
Yeah, and then I think if this game wasn't so early in the season, we would be having that discussion more.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got so much to fix out of Cleveland that
You're right.
the last thing you're focused on is the dynamic of the quote-unquote rivalry. But for us fans, I think that is what we're focused on because we've walked out of that stadium with a lot of Bengals fans a lot happier than they used to be when they would leave stadiums. That's for sure. Coming up, fourth and final hour of the show, Adam Amin of Fox Sports will join us at 9:20. Roger McCreary on stopping Joe Burrow and explosive plays. We'll get to that coming up. Plus, Chika Okonkwo on stepping up his own production in the Titans offense. Couple more Q&Ks on the other side and tickets to see the Titans. Little Titans ticket Thursday for the people. We've got your chance to tailgate with Slay, and maybe you can play Madden with them. They got video games at the Bullseye Event Group tailgate at the Bridge Building, and you can head to the game too. We'll have details on that coming up.
It's Ramon Foster for Scoreboard Bar and Grill. Only 2 Saturdays left for Scoreboard's Opryland all-you-can-eat low-country bowls where they have crabs, shrimp, booze, music, and football. So if it's a Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday night, both Scoreboards will have all the games, food, and music you want. Now you can hit up 2 locations, one on Old Hickory Lake and one across from Grand Ole Opry, both running the area's only all-you-can-eat low-country bowls from noon till 5. So get out and enjoy the best weather and time of the year at either Scoreboard. Scoreboard is the only place that has something for everyone. Come see why Scoreboard Opryland was just voted the #1 best sports bar in Nashville. The Low Country Boys, I told you, football, bushwhackers, and home to Nashville's yacht and rock spasmatics. Be sure to join 3HL this Friday from 3 to 6 as they broadcast live from the original Scoreboard Opryland location. And listen up, y'all. They'll have great giveaways and all you can drink for 2 for $4 from 3 to 6 with 3HL. If you want to try your hand also at beating Brent and Savage, that's Ron Slay, picks, go between 3 to 6 and fill out your sheet, and maybe you'll win the $250 prize pack given out. Remember, if it's football time, it's Scoreboard time. Scoreboard Opryland and Scoreboard Cedar Creek.
What's going on? Good morning. 9 o'clock from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Titans hit the practice field yesterday with no real shockers to the injury report. Traylon Burks, Josh Wiley, and Harold Landry were all limited, while Luke Gifford, Elijah Molden, Peter Skoronski, and Tier Tart did not practice. On Cincinnati's practice report, there was a shocker as Joe Burrow was a full participant. Tight end Irv Smith and starting punt returner Charlie Jones did not practice. If you want to get tickets to see the game, your chance coming up right here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. In the NBA, big trade yesterday as Portland, Milwaukee, and Phoenix agreed to a 3-team trade, essentially breaking down to the Bucks getting Damian Lillard, the Suns getting Yusuf Nurkic, and the Blazers getting DeAndre Ayton and Drew Holiday. Blazers are going to try to trade Drew Holiday to keep accumulating more assets. And tonight in the NFL, you got Thursday Night Football with an NFC North matchup between the 2-1 Lions and Packers. You can watch the game on Amazon Prime or listen right here on 104.5 The Zone. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Just like that, and it's the fourth and final hour of the show as we welcome you to 60 more minutes of RKW. Just 5 hours left this week. It's flown by.
Yeah, it has.
Hope you didn't blink. You might have missed the show with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. Robert Walsh, our esteemed producer. And I'm just Will.
He's just Will. All substance doesn't need the thrill. Is it his destiny to live and talk about this Tennessee Titans team? He's just Will. When he's in the swamp, he gets violently ill. What will it take for them to see the man behind the bland in Pantone 151C? He's just Will.
Oh my God.
Come on.
Wait.
Robert Walsh.
Did you just like
cut
literally
that in the
cut
last
that all?
hour?
That's unreal.
Incredible.
Wow. Dang. That's a producer right there.
Hey, get you a producer like Robert.
Get you somebody who can do both.
I mean, he even had
great.
the echo in the end.
Yeah, he did.
That was great.
Hey, what Cheyenne say? We like that.
Amazing.
We like that.
We like that.
Mama likes that. Mama likes that.
That was great. Well done.
That's pretty good.
My dog,
Pretty
man.
good.
That's my dog.
Very well done.
That's my dog,
Nice work,
man.
bro.
Hey, get you somebody that ain't out here playing Madden and can produce songs in between shows. You feel what I'm saying? In between breaks out here.
Well, I feel like a winner now, but some other people can win some stuff. You know?
Yeah. That is right. They can win some tickets here on a Titans Ticket Thursday. It is Titans Ticket Thursday. You've got the chance all day to win 2 tickets to see your Titans take on the Bengals. We've been previewing it all morning. We've got Adam Amin of Fox Sports coming up next. You can win a pair of VIP tailgate tickets as well to join Ron Slay at the Bridge Building. Thanks to Bullseye Event Group, 615-737-1045 for Titans Ticket Thursday. 2 tickets to see Titans Bengals and then hang out with Slay beforehand at the Titans VIP tailgate. 615-737-1045.
It ain't like Savage need me there, but I'm going to be there, okay?
Yeah? You doing the line dancing?
I ain't doing the line dancing. I might grab the mic and talk a little bit. No, the mic's his. I can't mess with
The
the mic.
mic is
Absolutely
his.
not. But they got 4 floors of food. The drinks is
4
included.
floors of food.
They got Madden in there. So you can
Oh my
bring your
gosh.
kids. There's a floor for kids
Just
in
stick
there.
them downstairs.
Just boot them downstairs while you get a little twisted before the game. That's all.
Twisted.
I mean, well,
It's aggressive.
I mean, look, if
twisted.
we got drivers at the game, okay, being safe or
Yeah.
Ubers
Or walking.
or walking. The river walk is nice. It is.
Get some exercise
I'm
in.
doing it for that.
Twist.
Yeah.
Twisted, Will. I'm talking about
Not the tea.
You need to be twisted going into this
You could
Cincinnati
drink
game.
the tea.
You could if you wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, what about the Mike's Heart? That tea? Is that the one
Sure.
we're talking about? Okay, all right, that's cool. As long as we got it established.
Robert will let us know our winner here in just a moment.
It is Jordan.
Jordan.
Woohoo!
Way to go off, Jordan.
All right, Jay.
Outstanding.
Big J out here.
Yeah.
Jordan, male or female?
Could be either.
Could be either.
Who's
Jordan
to
is I like the name both.
Yeah, I
Wait,
mean,
like either a
can't
girl's name or a
lose.
guy's name.
You cannot lose with that one. Not even a little bit.
Titans injury report yesterday, a fairly positive one. 3 guys limited: Traylon Burks, Harold Landry, Josh Wiley. Burks with a knee, Landry with a hamstring, Wiley with illness. And then 4 players, non-participants: Luke Gifford, Elijah Molden, Peter Skronsky, and Tier Tart. I've noticed earlier that good thing that DeAndre Hopkins is not on there at all.
Love that.
Say it bodes pretty well for his chances of playing on Sunday.
Does. And I don't think he had nothing going on last weekend, though, too. But you're right. That's always been the question around D-Hop. From an outsider's perspective, is he doesn't practice. He's always injured, or he's an old wide receiver, and you got to watch all those types of things, man. So I'm glad he's breaking that mold, and a knock on wood as I even brag about that.
Yeah.
But his availability to this team adds some angst to defenses. He can be a chain mover, and we saw that for sure in that Chargers game. Last week was you got behind so much. Well, no, he had a few plays in that one.
He
the toe
even had
taps.
a few. He really did.
Yeah. It's at a point that do you start asking the question, do you just start driving the ball through him through the air? If he's getting 14 targets a game, like, is that what you want to be doing moving forward? Because if that is the case, then you soften up the box for Derek to run the ball.
Sure.
Yeah.
Fair
He's
enough.
been catching them. That's for sure.
That's true.
Yeah, off to a good start.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly. In a Titans uniform. So good stuff there. We did have a conversation Kayla had with Roger McCreary. Seemed like the defense, Kayla, the biggest thing that I noticed was just the conversation about stopping explosive plays. Seems to be the major coaching point, of course, and for good reason in the locker room.
Yep. And they can say it all they want, but at this point, they have to go out there and do it. Because it's a thing like the third down was a couple of years ago, and I mentioned this a lot of times. Until you do it, we're going to keep asking about it.
Yeah.
And this was Roger McCreary yesterday in another Q&K inside the locker room.
I would say just minimizing all the S plays and just the penalties and playing more smart, I would say, because I feel like they fit us a lot through these past games. Just the penalties, the S plays. Once we eliminate those and just all be on the same page and communicate, I feel like it would be great.
When you look at X plays with this team, clearly the first weapon you think about is probably Jamar Chase. What does he offer in terms of a challenge?
Yeah, Jamar Chase, he's a great player. I feel like he's one of the top receivers. I feel like the last game they just had, I feel like they start getting back in this rhythm. So I feel like they're going to target him, just throw the ball at him because he is a playmaker.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like not only him, they got other guys like T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and a great running back. I just feel like they got a lot of weapons, so we will not only just focus on Jamar Chase, but just their whole receiver group because I feel like they're a great group.
Joe Burrow, a little banged up, right? Which could benefit you guys a little, but you can't look at it that way. What has Joe Burrow done so well against you guys in the past?
I mean, yeah, he's a little banged up. I feel like he played through a lot of tough injuries. I feel like he's a tough player, so I feel like there ain't nothing we have to worry about. We just got to come and play physical. But just the guy he is, I feel like he knows like the defense. He knows how to read it. He have a great skill set of just knowing the type, and he's cool and collective. So I feel like that's the person we really have to like get on and fit the most in order to stop this offense because it starts with him.
Yeah.
So I feel like as long as we stop him and their main guys, I feel like it will be great. We just got to communicate and eliminate those plays.
Physical, he said.
Yeah.
We got to play physical. I don't think it was physical enough last week, guys.
Oh, well, that definitely wasn't. I mean, they got bottled up last week.
They got punked on both sides of the ball.
Absolutely. And we
There
don't
it
see
is.
that often, right, from a Titans defense. They are a physical defense usually.
Yep.
Not that weekend.
Not last weekend, absolutely not. And it looked it from the get-go. Like I said, it looked like somebody hit the hornet's nest the way they were going at it. You also heard Rocky allude to the fact that Lou Anarumo is going to end up, the defensive coordinator for Cincinnati is going to try to stop Derek by all costs. And I think that's also, too, where people's fascination goes into it. Derek is still that type of player. And you know if you let him get started, it's going to be a long day for you. So he's always going to be stop the run. And it sucks for him. But this dude is chasing history in the last couple of weeks, you know?
Our final Q&K of the morning, Chika Okonkwo on his own production stepping up. We've heard a lot from defensive players throughout the show. Chig, a guy that also is looking for a bounce-back week after a slow day in Cleveland.
Start kind of up and down, up and down. Going off of last week and just the lack of offense production-wise, how do you bounce back in a week like this?
You just got to remember who you are and just understand, they had a, really good defense. We just got to come back and just, it starts with practice. It starts with a good week of practice. So we're just going to start here on today, first day of practice, and then begin our execution for the week.
How frustrating is that, though? Like going up against a defense like that just was not giving up anything for you guys to even get in a groove of any sort.
Yeah, it is frustrating, man, when the entire game feels like you can't move the ball. Yeah, it is a frustrating feeling, but we just have to execute better.
For you, what do you want to do better in terms of when you have those opportunities?
I want to capitalize on the little details of each play. Just make sure I know where I'm going, make sure I know who I'm going to, and play faster.
So in operating this week against this defense, another good defense, right? And what do you see from them specifically?
Yeah, they have a good team speed. They all play very sound technicians on their side. They got aggressive blitzers. Yeah.
When it comes to getting into the red zone, they're not the greatest down there. For you guys want to get back into producing down there like you have the last couple of seasons. What do you do to execute down there? How can you take advantage of that?
When you get down to the red zone, everything has to become a little bit more focused. So because you want to leave getting 6 points, so down there you got to focus a little bit more and just make sure you execute our plays.
Would you like to be utilized a little more down there in a red zone situation?
Of course, everybody always wants to be utilized more.
You came and gave me a smile on that.
Yeah.
Because we had talked about it earlier in the week. Maybe, when you do get down there, kind of getting creative.
Yeah.
He's got to make the catches first. He's got to be, when he's got the opportunities, he's got to catch those balls.
Yes.
But yeah, he kind of smiled at that.
I bet.
He's the one to me that can be the X factor in the red zone.
Yeah.
I think you think of the players that have the ability to get separation in a phone booth. Chig Okonkwo to me is the guy that we headlined all offseason. This is the guy that's the matchup nightmare for defenses. You're going to cover him with a safety, physical corner, linebacker. He's going to have a leg up against any kind of defensive back or linebacker you're going to throw at him. Need to see it from Chig. This needs to be a game for Chig to step up because as much as we put him on the pedestal as the guy who is ready to be tight end one, hasn't shown it so far this season and quite frankly hasn't caught the ball when it's been thrown to him quite enough.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think he's a guy that need to see more.
He's around it, not delivering at the end of the day.
Need to see more.
Yep.
And when you think about players that could alleviate some of the pressure Ryan Tannehill is under, who have the ability to get open quickly, he's the first guy I think of, especially without Kyle Phillips in the mix of a guy that can run those intermediate routes and get immediate separation. Needs to be a Chig game this weekend. Against two good linebackers, too, by the way, and Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt. Coming up next, Amin of Fox Sports will join us. He'll be on the call on the television side of things for Titans and Bengals this upcoming weekend. Always good to get the national perspective from the out-of-town broadcasters coming in and see what he thinks about this Mike Vrabel team heading into a matchup with Cincinnati. That's next on RKW. Thursday morning on RKW, Hour 4 continues right here on 104.5 The Zone. We've got Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson. I'm Will Bowling. And joining us this morning, previewing Titans and Bengals, the man who will be on the call on Fox this Sunday in Nissan Stadium. He is Adam Amin, kind enough to join us here this morning. What's up, Adam? How are you?
What's going on, guys? Great to talk to you.
You too.
Absolutely. Appreciate the time. And it's an interesting matchup, certainly, between a Cincinnati team that you feel like, putting it lightly, hasn't gotten out of first gear on offense, and a Titans team that is trying to find first gear on offense as well. Where do you kind of begin to assess this one? What do you think is the most interesting matchup going into Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to find like a numbers matchup. You're like, well, this receiver is clearly playing at a really high level, and this defensive back is a premier player at that position. We have to keep an eye out on that. That's not necessarily the case. So I'm searching around and looking at spots where I think there should be more juice, right? A little bit, some fireworks, and then all I keep looking at is these offensive lines. And I know that appeals to Ramon, and I'm sure it frustrates him at times as well, watching the nature of what we've seen the last few weeks with the offensive line for Tennessee. Cincinnati's been kind of dealing with this as well. And, you know, how do you block Simmons and Tart? And I think on the other side, they're going to be thinking, how do you take care of Trey Hendrickson? And how do you make sure they don't get into the backfield the way they started to last week against the Rams? This is a trench game, it feels like, at least going into it. You know, my partner, Mark Schlereth, a Super Bowl winning offensive lineman, is very excited about that. But he had, you know, in our conversations this week, was saying, I don't understand how Tennessee's offensive line is not gearing up for Myles Garrett, and they're not really seemingly in tune with how this is going to be structured when, you know, the Cleveland pass rush is coming. So I think there's a lot of issues. We all know that. It starts up front, and that's where everything else has to be solved. It has to be solved through the front line. And, yeah, I know it's not the sexiest thing to talk about when we talk about modern NFL football, because we want to talk about offense, we want to talk about big offensive numbers, but that just hasn't been the case. And I know Cleveland's got a really good defense, and both of these teams struggled against Cleveland, but it starts up front. And until you start seeing some consistency up front, until you start seeing blocking schemes be in concert with each of the five guys that are up there, I don't know how you're going to see either of these offenses get out of the gears that you were talking about, because, frankly, they just haven't been up to par. And I know Tennessee's offense has been a frustrating one to watch the last couple of years, probably a little bit further than that even. But it still feels like until these offensive lines get right and get straight and know what they're scheming going into any given matchup, it's hard to really get, you know, zoned in on one particular aspect of either of these offenses.
Adam Amin, Fox Sports, our guest. And Adam, you've come to the right place, because I don't know how you knew how angry Ramon Foster gets at bad offensive line play. And I'm sure you see it in your partner, Mark Schlereth, as well. That I don't know what it is about these guys, Adam, but they see somebody not in the right set and their footwork's not right. And it's almost like they've got to show you in the booth or in the studio, like immediately, you know, what needs to happen. Like, do you have these same conversations with your broadcast partner that we have with Ramon?
We have the exact. I will bank on it that we have the exact same conversations. I will bank on that. Ramon and Mark probably do very similar pantomimes and demonstrations for us as well, which always makes me happy to learn something from Mark. But yeah, Ramon, I know you. Ramon's with us, right?
Yeah, I'm right here. I'm laughing.
He's with us.
Ramon, I think I heard yesterday you were kind of going in on whether it was Andre Dillard or just the line in general. I want to know from you, as we go in on Sunday, why? Why is this such a struggle? Is it just the complete turnover? I understand it's a turnover line. I know Brewer's in a new spot. I know Dillard hasn't been a consistent left tackle. He's played more swing over the course of his career. I know it's not Nate Davis at right guard. I know Daniel Brunskill has had to bounce around. But is it the turnover? Is it the lack of continuity? Is it play calling? Because Mark always talks about protection being multiple things, and we have this assumption that protection is just, the offensive line's not playing well enough. And oftentimes that's true, and that's certainly an element of the lack of protection or good protection. But it's also play calling. It's also the quarterback himself trying to get through timings and get through the receivers have to be on time as well, and they have to win their breaks and they have to win their routes. So all of these things kind of taken into consideration. I want to sound smart when I talk to Mark tomorrow when we're at Titans practice. So Ramon, you may repeat some of the things that you said yesterday, but give me a sense of why this is happening.
It's happening because it's. Thanks for asking that question. So I just need you to know I don't start this.
This man's head's getting
I don't start
so
this
big
show
over here.
off by making this an offensive line focus. Okay, it's just good that the world understands we're important too. Okay,
Absolutely.
But it starts here. It's lack of wins. You look at. Let's go to Dillard's real quick. He gets drafted to Philly, a monster team, right? As far as their mentality, their city is hard. The people is hard. The team plays hard now and currently under their coach, right? He goes to the fans in the stands and start trash talking them about how they win. And I honestly do look at his situation like he got ate up. He really did early in his career and can't find his way out of it. You look at his sets right now, his footwork is immaculate. He sets well. He gets to the point, and then he don't know how to stop guys. And then he's trying to overcorrect guys. And I'm even looking at some of his clips from yesterday. It's out on social media, too. He's going to stop the bull rush, but he's dipping his head. Somebody's going to grab him and pull him forward and get to the quarterback that way. It's not understanding how to win. And when you don't consistently win, you start second-guessing yourself. You're right. This group is new. Except for Aaron Brewer for the most part. New right tackle, new right guard. Guys now playing center who's new at that spot. New left guard and new left tackle too. They don't understand how to win as a group. And when you can't stack wins as a unit, as a team, and as a crew, then it makes you question yourself. That's what's going on right now. And then you ask the question, well, how do you get past that? You have to go look in the mirror at yourself and really break down what am I doing wrong and focus on one thing at a time. And I think it's so many different misfires that you find yourself behind the 8 ball more times than not. You even go to the Chargers game, correct? You won that game, but what did it look like on the ground? It wasn't a great running game. If you can't establish the line of scrimmage in a win, then what are you actually doing? That's when the troubles actually started for him, going against that Chargers defensive line right there. And not just him. You lose Peter Skoronski after week 1, and you got a new left guard going in too. Although Dillard did well, I mean, even though Ravens did well, you still had other issues that had to be fixed. It's a matter of how do I win? And when you're asking yourself, how do I win? You're probably going to lose. I always correlate it because my kids are in it. A pitcher on the mound. If he can't throw strikes, right, then he doesn't know what his fastball is. You can throw 100 miles per hour, but if you can't hit the mark, then what are we doing? That's the one position I think can correlate to it more than anything is watching pitchers or hitters and not figuring out how to be successful. That's what's going on.
I think it's a great breakdown, and like I said, I know Mark appreciates that, and this is the type of stuff that we try to get into because I don't think most fans, and it's not most fans' job to know that. It's our job to explain that on Sundays when we're on the air, and Mark does a really good job of doing that. And Ramon, that was a great explanation. A lot of this is more in concert, right? I know Mike Vrabel and Tim Kelly, they want to have some creativity. And we've seen some flashes of it, of trying to get some guys in space and trying to get out on the perimeter, maybe take some pressure off of this offensive line a little bit. And by the way, you're playing a defense. Myles Garrett is really good, and that Cleveland defense has played exceptionally well for the first 3 weeks. Okay, so we certainly give them credit, and maybe things can turn around when you don't have to face an ace on the other side like Garrett. But Trey Hendrickson is no slouch. B.J. Hill, DJ Reader, these are good players up front. So how do you combat that? You want to get Derrick Henry out in space, but it's hard to do that until you establish an interior running game. It's hard to get protection for quick routes. If you can't even win for those, that second and a half, if Burks and Hopkins and these guys and Westbrook Akine can't get off of their any type of press coverage, it allows teams to press them a little bit more because they're not afraid of being beaten over the top because they know the pass rush is going to get there. So we haven't seen the big play strikes yet. We haven't seen a consistent running game. And I don't think it's just one thing. It might be a domino effect, but if you get some of these things right that Ramon's talking about, that I'm sure Mark's going to talk about, I do think that offensive capabilities increase at an exponential rate when you just fix some core things. And I don't think Tennessee's far off from kind of getting there, but it's going to have to be a very consistent group effort for an entire 12 possessions, basically for 8 to 12 possessions in a game. You're going to have to be very consistent, and until you see that, you're not going to see the offensive numbers improve that much. I do think it's there. It's easier when you don't play Myles Garrett, but I think you just have to see some consistency. We haven't seen it yet.
And Adam, we were talking about just, who needs to step up in terms of offense, obviously the line, but one of these skill positions, who needs to step up? And look, DeAndre Hopkins, for his ankle injury that he had the last couple of weeks, has been out there. When he's out there, he's made the plays. That's expected. Traylon Burks, though, Chigakonkwo, they've had opportunities. They've had some drop balls. Who needs to step up in your eyes?
Kayla, you mentioned Chig, and I think Chig Okonkwo is really important to the success of this team. I think the tight end position, for struggling quarterbacks, tight ends are huge safety valves. Yep. Like, it really does help when you have a tight end that can consistently get you 6-7 yards a pop every time you throw it to him as kind of that safety release. It's just the expectation of a tight end, especially when they're an inline tight end, you're expecting them to block. So you can do multiple things with them if the coverage or the rush dictates for that tight end to do so. You can find space. Oftentimes tight ends are given option or choice routes, basically to run to an open spot in the field and be that last line for a quarterback to say, all right, well, I can't find Hop, I can't find Westbrook Akine, or I can't find Traylon Burks. So, let me get to that safety read that I know is there, that safe read, that safe release that I know is there. That's typically the tight end. And for struggling quarterbacks, for young quarterbacks, for quarterbacks that are new in systems, the tight end is always a great safety valve. It's just a tight end is a younger, inexperienced, or struggling quarterback's best friend. So I would love to see Chig Okonkwo get involved a little bit more. The middle of the field has been soft at times. I think Cincinnati wants to rush a little bit. They want to get a pass rush going because they feel like they can. So maybe you can take advantage in these open spaces in the middle of the field, and you have to be willing to take 7-yard gains. You never go broke taking a profit, and I feel like Chig Okonkwo is a great release to try to pick up chunk yardage plays in the intermediate passing game to try to at least march the ball a little bit more methodically down the field. I don't see just yet the big play strike ability, certainly not in the passing game for this group just yet, but maybe in the running game. Obviously, Derrick Henry is a big play waiting to happen just because of how talented individually he is as a player, but I think to be able to march the ball methodically down the field, to possess the ball, to keep the ball out of Joe Burrow's hands, and I don't know how healthy he's going to look or how healthy he's going to be. He really gutted his way through that win on Monday night against the Rams. I feel like to keep the ball out of his hands, to get that defense tired, to march the ball methodically, get first downs, which is something that's been a problem for this team, I think Chig Okonkwo is a name that needs to be very important. So I'm with you on that, Kayla.
And you mentioned Joe Burrow, Adam. He clearly, is dealing with that calf injury. Had to put some heat on it every time he was on the bench. You don't know exactly how he's going to be for this game, but he practiced in full yesterday. But if you're this Titans defense, first and foremost, they want to stop the run, right? And they've got Joe Mixon. But if you have an opportunity to get to Joe, this is probably the time to do it. But easier said than done, right?
Easier said than done, but he did not. I mean, he up until that late game kind of fake toss rollout to find Jamar Chase up the sideline, we barely saw him do two things. We barely saw him get out of the pocket because he wasn't seemingly mobile enough laterally to move left and right. I mean, he was kind of stuck in between the hashes for the most part in that game until that rollout play, and then to be able to get the ball downfield. Like, the Bengals in general have not moved the ball particularly well downfield. I think there's something like 2 for 17 or 2 for 18 on passes of 15-plus yards downfield. Like, Burrow's been dealing with this the entirety of the first 3 weeks of the season, going back into training camp. So he just hasn't been the same player. The running game is what got them sparked. The Mixon touchdown got them sparked. That offensive line, essentially, I know fans will see Joe Burrow getting hit by Aaron Donald and, going to the sideline to get the calf, heated up again. So it's going to look like the offensive line wasn't playing well. That line probably won them the game. They did just enough for Burrow to protect him, long enough to get him some of these throws, to get guys into space, and then to block for Mixon to be able to get, a couple of key runs, including the touchdown. You have to be able to attack the interior. If you're not expecting a lot outside the pocket, you have to be able to win inside. And if you can, I don't know if it's going to take some run blitzes to stop Mixon on early downs. I don't know if you can, if you're able to win up front, Autry and Simmons, who I'm still expecting a big game from these guys, right? From Simmons and Tart, I'm still expecting like a really impressive game defensively from them. So if they're able to generate that, now I think that's the key to stopping Burrow, to stopping Cincinnati in their current state with how Burrow is playing. It's not the typical Joe Burrow that we're used to seeing. So I think there's a couple of weak spots, and if you can exploit those early, force Cincinnati out of their comfort zone, maybe develop a pass rush that's consistent for 4 quarters, I think there's a real shot to get back on track for Tennessee.
Adam Amin, NFL on Fox, our guest here on RKW. All right, Adam, anyone who's listened to this show for more than 5 minutes knows that I am a play-by-play broadcasting nerd in every sense of the word possibly. You're a busy man this time of year between baseball and obviously NFL. You've been the voice of a lot of stressful Braves games for me, I have to say. How much fun do you have this time of year? I know that's probably a question you get a lot. It's a broad one, but just how much fun is it just like prepping for all these big things in NFL and baseball? I got to imagine that you're just kind of living the dream, especially in September and October.
It's my favorite time of the year. Legitimately, this is my favorite time of the year when we're getting into like the kind of nitty gritty of the NFL and really starting to figure out, you get to this quarter pole of the season, you're starting to figure out which teams are to be watched, to keep an eye out for as the season goes on. So that's always exciting to see what storylines are popping up in the early part of an NFL season, just because every game has such value. 17, only 17 games, so every single one feels like it has this big weight on it, and it's the biggest sport in America. So obviously, being any part of that is a big deal for any of us who are in broadcasting. So to call an NFL game every week is huge. And then my eye is constantly on these wild card chases to see. Partially it's selfish because I want to know where we're going next week.
Right.
Next Saturday, the American League Division Series starts, and we'll be on one of them. And I want to know if I'm going to Baltimore or going to Dallas and Arlington or going to Houston or Seattle or Toronto or what. So, I've got an eye on that at all times. And then I've got, we just had, I just had a seminar the other day for the NBA, and next week is Bulls Media Day. I work as the TV guy for the Bulls here in Chicago in the NBA. So I'm kind of getting ready for that. And, the Damian Lillard trade happens, and all of a sudden that shifts the landscape of the division itself that the Bulls play in because the Bucks are right up the road. So now all of a sudden you have to start kind of recalibrating your expectations. So being able to think about these things in kind of a excitable fashion, like, hey, this is coming, like all this is coming to fruition now. Baseball playoffs, start of the NBA season, and getting into the thick of it in the NFL. It's awesome, man. Like I'm a very, very, very fortunate person, and I'm glad I get to do this, man. Thanks for saying that.
Very cool.
Adam Amin, our guest this morning here on the show. Well, Adam, we know it's a crazy time of year. We really appreciate a couple minutes, and sometime in the off season, let's do this again and catch up. We love having just play-by-play and color broadcasters on when it's off season, and we can kind of talk shop a little bit. So let's definitely do it again soon.
You guys got it. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Adam.
Thanks,
Adam Amin, our guest here this morning on the show. That is good insight, and I mean, you guys know I nerd out on the play-by-play stuff.
And he does basketball too. I didn't know he did NBA as well.
Mm-hmm.
I envy that stuff because I'm like, how
Dang.
you're that good at everything?
Yeah.
I've been told you got to be good at. You got to know a little bit about everything.
Mhm.
He knows a lot about everything.
And two, you can tell the people in this business that are just genuinely good people, like on the air.
Yeah.
Adam's a just always one of those guys you could tell loves what they do. He's a good guy.
My favorite Adam Amin story is he talks about his mom a lot on Twitter. He's a big mama's boy, and I respect that so much. And I remember he talked about like not having a lot growing up, and like through this career being able to buy his mom a house, buying her, and that just brought me to tears. And I knew he was a stud at that moment. Like if you can take care of moms, everything else is cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
buddy.
Absolutely.
That's dope right there.
Coming up, we wrap up the show with, I think, the funniest disrespectful comment that I've ever heard from a head coach preparing to go into a hostile or maybe not so hostile environment. Hilarious stuff in the Big Ten that we'll get to coming up next. Wrapping up a fun show on this Thursday morning edition of RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Tomorrow it'll be Friday, and we'll act like it.
Yeah.
If you missed any of our conversations today with Coach Dave McGinnis, bright and early this morning. If you missed after that, Rocky Boiman. Ramon doing a home and home today, as we say, with Rocky Boiman. You can hear him up in Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
Those Bengals fans will be shaking their fist at the sky when they hear the old guard for the Pittsburgh Steelers is up there. And our conversation with Adam Amin a few minutes ago, that was terrific.
Yeah. Mr. Do It All.
Mr. Do It All.
We will
man.
certainly revisit that one again tomorrow, talking Titans and Bengals. This tweet yesterday, guys, was from Audrey Snyder of The Athletic. Covers Penn State football. This is hilarious to me. She tweets, Penn State practiced without music at the end of practice today to get ready for the Northwestern trip. James Franklin said they have to be honest about the atmosphere. He asked if they're an internally or externally motivated team.
Oh,
I
my
love that.
goodness.
Yeah.
You've heard of playing the fight song of a team in order to simulate noise? How about playing no music in order to simulate
that.
lack of noise?
You know what? I wasn't that huge of a James Franklin.
I
fan.
respect
I am now.
that.
Hey, you gained. I
Pretty
took a
funny.
step in the right direction with you with that comment. He said he did no music.
He
Well,
said he asked if they're an internally or externally motivated team.
oh,
That's great.
that's so good.
Could you play just like crickets? You know, like
just
You just play Ramon crumpling whatever that paper was.
No, stop.
Focus on yourself.
He's packing his bag up. The bell has not rung. The bell doesn't dismiss you.
shooting in the
I
basket.
dismiss you.
Classic athlete.
We're going to go
Thinking,
5 minutes late. I've got to give you extra info on your homework that you've got to do
Did you
tomorrow.
all not do that though? I did all the time. I'm like,
You had to get out and talk to your
Y'all do
friends.
it now.
Both
of you.
Right, we do.
I gotta get
Class.
organized.
Hey, 5 till the class is over, man. That's law.
I'm like, I go get a snack.
That's law. Okay, that's law. That's law,
You're
Will.
ridiculous.
5 minutes. The zippers are being unzipped for books and trapper keepers.
One of these days, you're going to act right.
You know, Ramon was the guy lying, like, oh, I got to get to the bus. We got to go to the away game.
My
I got
mom's
to get
picking
out."
me up early. I got a doctor's appointment.
Absolutely.
You don't have a doctor's appointment for nothing.
Yep.
You're right. I don't, but I
That's
gotta
like when
go.
you had an orthodontist appointment and you were excused, so you'd milk that thing and you'd go to get lunch.
Hey.
You'd come back and you were so cool holding the cup from somewhere else. Like, where'd you get McDonald's? You go back like in class, you're like, huh, couldn't be my lunch.
Hey, all I'm telling you is, man, well, look, it's simple when it boils down. The hallway was social media before phones, okay?
That's right.
That's all I'm saying. Why would I not want to go be
Was
social?
that not the best place, man?
Pushing people in the lockers and stuff? Come on
Yeah.
now.
You don't lie. You was probably so
Relax.
nice. He was probably class
Yeah, I was.
president.
I was.
You was
president
class
of the,
president.
Really?
Yeah.
I was vice president.
I was senior
I
class
was
president,
social
and I
coordinator.
was social. I mean, I was in everything. So I mean, everything you can think
Ramon,
of.
This was
I have a little preview. One thing I have to tell you all about the high school football game we have tomorrow
Yeah.
between Smith County and Upperman. The kicker for Smith County is a Ramon Foster.
what?
He is a starting right tackle.
Big kicker.
Who is
No,
the
he's
kicker?
not.
I'm gonna be honest with you. This is not a lie. This kicker is 345
What?
pounds.
Oh.
Is this?
Get you a thicker.
Are we in
so
the Twilight Zone?
Smith County, who is one of the leading contenders for the state championship in Class 2A. They're 2-0 this season in Region 3 2A.
Wow.
I can't wait to be up there to watch this one. Between Smith County and Upperman, going to be a good game. Javier Gaspar, their kicker. Shout out to him.
Shout out to
All
Javier,
right.
6'3",
man.
345 senior.
Javi.
There we go.
I was only
Putting him through the uprights.
Big body Javi out
That's
there.
what I was gonna say.
And
Big
And he's
hobby.
the leader of that offensive line, too.
I was
That's
6'6",
impressive.
290 in high school. He's a big boy.
Putting you to shame.
Can
He
I ask
is.
you one question?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you the guy that if you couldn't get your locker open, because that was me,
Yeah.
that you would help the ladies get their locker open?
Kayla, I can't disclose everything.
Dang it!
Can't disclose everything on there. Okay.
LL Moan.
I was just
Ladies
I was
love
a people
Moan.
person. I would kick to I would talk to the hacky sack kids, the goth kids.
Yeah.
The athletes, of course. You know who the hacky. You pull
I
up,
know exactly
they
who
up
you're
front.
talking about.
I was cool with pretty much everybody, man. That's how I became senior class president. I won that race by a mile.
Sure.
It was a girl really campaigning too. I'm like,
Isn't that the best, man? I was running smear campaigns before I even knew what was up.
I won that thing by a mile, boy.
Hey, bro, you don't want to vote for her. She eats her boogers, bro.
I might have had 2 posters up in the
She's
school.
boring.
And I just committed to UT at that point in time. Oh, my God. I won that one.
Living life.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I was
You
on
won
my-
that race by a mile. I was just winning actual races
There
by
we
a
go.
mile.
There we go.
Y'all keep throwing things at
I
me.
know.
Stop.
I had to get it out of my hand because I kept.
If you're going to throw
things,
things my way, at least have good aim. Goodness sakes, both of you.
Bet.
that bounced back at you
I
last
will
time.
bounce back. Don't challenge.
Tomorrow, we will have something else to monitor, guys. Ryder Cup will be live while we're on the air tomorrow.
And it will be on the TV back here.
Scotty Scheffler versus John Rahm. Sam Burns versus Terrell Haddon will be the opening matches. Second match, Max Homa, Victor Hovland.
All right.
Hovland, who had a hole-in-one on a par 4 today.
What?
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
get those out of our systems now.
Go.
Harmon against Aberg.
We don't want that.
Fowler and Lowry. Morikawa and Seb Straka. Then you've got Xander Schauffele, Rory McIlroy. Tommy Fleetwood and Patrick Cantlay.
Is Tony V now there?
I cannot
Tony,
wait.
now.
Cannot wait. We're back at it tomorrow morning, Friday, and we'll act like it. And Ramon Foster sends us home right now.
You must remember at all times, good people, your Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot. Oh, really? That's why you covered it.
5.